Warning: all stories could be completely made up, and we have no way to confirm that. Any and all names mentioned in the show are most likely fake. We at Campfire Moto Stories are not journalists and should not be considered as much. If you're offended by anything said or shown in this episode, we don't care, but we encourage you to voice your opinion so we can laugh at the fact that you can't control your emotions. This program contains full language, and I recommend no one to watch or listen to this.
The views and opinions expressed in the program are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the sponsor, any advertisers, or the sponsor's affiliates, employees, or partners.
Coming to you live from the Claremont Lounge in Atlanta, Georgia, it's Campfire Moto Stories.
Hey everyone, welcome to Campfire Moto Stories. I'm Anthony Bennett. I'm thrilled to have you join us today for our live show. This YouTube show / podcast is all about sharing amazing motorcycle stories from everyday riders like you. Whether it's an epic ride, funny mishap, or an unforgettable adventure, we want to hear it all. Today, we have some fantastic guests in the studio who we'll introduce in just a moment, where we'll dive into their riding stories. Plus, we have exciting segments lined up, including pre-recorded interviews, tech tips, spotlight a stolen bike, and stories sent in by you through website and or phone line. I'll have the phone lines on, so make sure to call in anytime, especially if it has something funny to do with our guest. Lastly, you'll get to hear an awesome story from my 5-year-old son about riding. May or may not be completely made up. But hey, 5-year-old can tell a great story, so can you. Don't forget, you can earn entries into our giveaway by participating in the show. Check out campfiremotostories.com for all the official rules. And by participating in any way, shape, or form, you indicate that you've read the official rules, our terms and conditions. Let's get it started.
Another lap around the wall, another request, another wall. All I need, I can't reply.
Hey, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Anthony Bennett. Welcome to Campfire Moto Stories. I got one of my good buddies in the studio with me today. Why don't we give a warm welcome, or not so warm? How about a fuck you to Ed Eberhart?
Wow,
What's up, buddy?
that is unfortunate for you that
Yeah.
you would start this like this. Like you would step in the ring with Mike Tyson and start talking shit, or you would walk onto the basketball court and be like, "Hey, Michael Jordan, I'm better than you." You don't want to get in a shit talking contest this early. You just don't want it.
Did you actually read like the Facebook post or the YouTube post that like what it actually said?
I can't say that.
It literally said that our friendship was bonded within the first 5 seconds of meeting each other and immediately insulting one another.
Yeah,
Like-
because you're terrible. Like you just like the fact that you're allowed to walk around in public to me
Oh.
is fantastic. Like it's a true testament to like the idea that our society has gotten so permissive about things. Because 100 years ago you'd been locked in a basement.
I thought I'd been thrown down the big hole in the ground like on 300.
Oh, well.
The well.
The-
Oh, it wasn't a well. It was the pit of death.
I think it was a well.
I think it was the pit of death. I think they built it to
How
kick
many
people
pits
in.
of death have you seen?
300. What else would the pit of what would you call
Look,
that? It can't be a well. They're not going to throw people into the thing they drink.
But like that's in a movie. We're talking about real life. Like walking around. How many pits of death are there in Ackworth right now?
Well, I know when there is definitely one in what city is your mom in?
Oh, that's cold blooded. That's uncalled for. And you think that because I'm wearing a headset, that I won't slap you in your mouth.
I will say you had one request,
Yeah.
and I totally forgot about it until we started talking, and that
Oh.
was for me to wear a full face helmet. with-
Just to cover up all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I apologize. So I was looking
Yeah.
around to see which one I could grab, and I'm not putting that one on. That one might be older than I am. So,
It's almost as dusty as some of my helmets because I haven't worn them in so long.
dude, all my street bike helmets are so dusty.
It's
Dirt bike ones are good, but yeah,
we
street
did
bike ones
a 7-hour kart endurance race
at AMP.
at
I
AMP
did just see a few
a
pictures
few
of that.
weeks ago, and I wore one of my old Arise, And
when you put it on to just like
well,
stuff
no,
fall out.
because I'm after years of racing, I'm kind of a prep, you know, just Nazi about that stuff, about having everything prepped and ready and clean and perfect. And so I broke it out of the bag, and dude, it was like pulling it out of the Lord of the Rings. So it was an ancient treasure. So yeah, it was just bad. And I was like, okay, let me this thing cleaned up. And then I was walking around the pits up there, and I was like, none of you clowns have any idea who Nikki Hayden is. But you're probably still not going to know the end of this race, but you're going to know that the guy in the Nikki Hayden helmet is a real jerk. So
That's funny. So I do usually try to start with an icebreaker, and I wasn't I didn't have a great one, but so I just figured I'd lead in with just insulting right away.
yeah,
But I do kind of have one because someone told me to ask you about the time that something to do with Opie and Azuma in a parking lot.
yeah.
So do you want to elaborate on what
um,
happened with that?
much the same way that you and I started just immediately talking shit about stuff about each other, right? Just immediately. Like Huey pointed this out to me after we'd been friends for about a year. He's like, "Man, you know, the people that you like, you just pick on them, and the people that you don't like, you just ignore them."
Yep.
And I was like, "That's very insightful. I didn't know that about myself." But I always just really, really liked and admired Opie. Like he's like unquestionably so fast on a bike.
Oh yeah.
A great teacher and coach and instructor,
One of the nicest guys you'll meet.
and just a good dude, right?
Good
I
human,
I learned so much about so many things from Opie, but because I liked him, I always felt I need to just kind of take the piss out of him, right?
Yeah. Wait, so this means you actually do like me?
Most people. That I like,
okay. Yeah, I wanted to
yeah,
that
calm
didn't
down.
seem right. All right.
But anyway, so when I moved up to the Atlanta area the first time I moved just by pure luck about 3 or 4 miles from Marietta Motorsports.
Okay.
And I would go up there to get I think I had my 748 then, and I bought a buddy of mine's 03 ZX6R.
Mm-hmm.
And so went up there, made friends with everybody, and just, you know, did a couple of track days with
What
them.
year would that have been then?
You know, like 09, 10.
Okay, it's because 2010 is when I went to go work.
Yeah. No, I moved there in 08, and then I left Marietta in 09, I think. Somewhere
around
in
that,
the in ancient history,
Yeah.
right? But anyway, so I'd seen Opie on TV at AMA races and stuff. I knew he was fast, but he was still Opie, the guy we just like laughed and cut up with. And I started like messing with him, and I was like, Opie, like I know that like you're probably the fastest guy here, but I got to tell you, I feel like if you bust out your mini bike, and I guess he had like a TTR or something.
Yeah, the TTR 125.
Then he would run around the parking lot.
Was bad.
It was
that thing was built
amazing.
It would rip the hubs off of the bikes.
And I was like, I will get my Zuma scooter, and it didn't even have the 80 kit at the time. It was just the 50, the two-stroke 50. And I was like, set up some cones, and I'll whip your ass around this parking lot. And he kind of shrugged it off, and I was like, I'm not playing with you, Opie. I'm serious. I'll whip your ass. And so like I just got him more and more revved up, and Huey and I think Skip were in on it. But anyway, end of the day, Opie goes out, puts on his leathers, and he you know, he gets real serious. And so
he's so easy to make serious too. You push the
I didn't
you know,
know
how
it
to
at the
push the
time.
button the right way, and he will go into.
Well, he's a racer. Like he's a real racer. He's not a guy who plays at it like some of us did, but he's a real guy. And we got there, and like he started like warming up and doing like cutting around cones and stuff. And I put on my helmet. I was like, "Are you ready?" And he just looked at me. And so I flipped the lid down on my helmet, and I just like left. I just went home. Right, it is because that's what you do, right? And I again Just because it's just a funny thing to do to your buddies, right?
Yeah, but here, like, I read the story as you got whipped and loaded up and went home.
Oh, no. I didn't even turn a wheel. Like, I was like, are you ready? Man.
I would at least start partway down the straightaway and then made a right.
No, not even that. No, I just left. And
went home.
Just went straight home. Like, didn't cross go, did not collect $200. Just went straight
Probably
home.
didn't answer your phone or anything.
No. And then I went up there like a day or two later for, some bolts or some shit. And I was like, oh, did you learn your lesson? And he was like, you're an asshole. Or whatever the OP equivalent of that was a long time ago. But
he probably would have just been like, you're a jerk.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to clip this and send it to him. Did you listen or watch any of his show?
I started, and then my real life got like the word I was telling somebody the other day, a young dude, is about when you're in your early 20s, it is the best time to be broke. Right? Like, make just enough money to indulge whatever hobbies and stuff you have.
Yeah. Because
later in life, you'll have resources and you'll be able to do a lot more things, but you just will not have time.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, man. I was just like, at that point, we could just do whatever, and it was fine.
Yeah.
And then now, when go buy a new bike tomorrow, and then it would just sit in my garage. So.
You do have some really cool bikes, and have had some really cool bikes.
Yeah. I mean, like, I still have the old 748. I tried
the yellow one?
Yeah.
I thought you sold it, or you had it up for
No,
sale.
no, I sold my red 899 that I was coaching on.
Yeah.
The joke is the wife says they're going to bury me with the 748.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a big coffin. But yeah.
No. I'm going to do this with the taxidermist, but we're going to...
Like, you're going to stuff me?
Yeah, and then you'll be on the bike and actually you'll be like this.
Yeah.
This is your signature move
that's like
on the bike.
every picture of me when I see Raul on the track, yes. And often
put you in a glass case, taxidermied up, just...
Yeah. That's just incredibly frightening and off-putting to think about. You go through eternity as a stuffed monument.
I think this got brought up on the first show, or maybe it was with Daniel's show, but it is written in my will that 2 of my best friends will get my ashes put into 2 butt plug urns and gifted to them. So you can write shit like that into your will.
I think I'm good. I just, like, I know that you're a deviant, and I know that you have, like, proclivities that most of the world does not really subscribe to.
I don't appreciate you using words that I don't know what you're saying.
You said plethora like 20 minutes ago.
And what happened?
I laughed at you.
Why did you laugh at me?
Because you're an idiot.
No, that's not what you said.
Well, I mean...
You said because you actually used it correctly.
No, you did use it correctly, but I was just surprised by the whole thing. It's like seeing a dog walk on 2 legs. It was the craziest thing.
Yeah, Ed shows up to my house, and all right, so I'm going to back up to tell this story, because I thought this was just a sad show for me. So my buddy Scotty, who did a show with me, Scotty Kellum, I think it was around Thanksgiving. It was, because he was here in town from Texas. So I get a phone call from a Texas number, and it says it's his brother. I've never heard this brother's name before. He's got a brother named Chase that I know of, but not this brother. And he's like, hey, this is Scott's brother. Hold that up again. Hold that. No, I'm trying to get the camera to see.
No, it's okay.
Okay, yeah. So
tell your story, dude. Come on.
that was really good. Fuck you. Where was I? Yeah, I get a call.
So you get a call from Texas.
And the voicemail left is, hey, this is Scott's brother. Call me back when you can. And I'm like, Scotty's dead. Something bad had to happen for that to be a voice. And it was very monotone.
Oh.
And I'm just like, what? I called the dude back, and he's got ATV questions for his boss by his 5-year-old kid, 2 ATVs. Because he lives in Cartersville, Georgia.
What?
And the phone number's Texas.
So, time out. The 5-year-old kid needs 2 ATVs?
I think he's got 2 kids.
Okay. So
yeah.
He's not like sitting with like a factory setup where he's got a bike and a B bike.
I don't know. My first advice was to tell him to get on a dirt bike
Yeah.
because 4-wheelers are dangerous and, for
And always seem to be
whatever.
going the wrong way on the trails. Like, always.
Yeah, kissing their cousins, things like that. So yeah, I thought that show was gonna be fucked up. But during that conversation, I used that word, and Ed just happened to be there, and I heard. Yeah, it was pretty funny. And Ed just held up a sign that said, "I have a boner." The sheet of paper that
Anthony, I'm a grown man. Why would I do some silliness like that? Like, come on. I got a little more sense of that. I'm not just going to write on a piece of paper, "I've got a boner." Like, who would do that? Really? Got a little more sense of that. Get out of here.
So I wasn't expecting that to be held up because I said, "Hey, there's a piece of paper here where if you need to take a piss break, if you need to, get another drink or whatever, write on this." And I immediately saw you write something. Didn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
Should have known better.
I just, you never know when you're going to get the old no reason boner.
No, the sad thing is that you probably have one and I can't see it.
I think I'm good, dude. I think I'm fully in neutral.
Your
I think
pants
we're all
were
good.
covered in pollen when you got here.
Well, I mean, I live in Georgia and it is early April.
It's
So
so bad right now.
yeah, that's why I sound like Wheezy from the Jeffersons right now.
Actually, I feel like you sound better right now than what I was remembering. But when you came to my wife and I's 10-year anniversary dinner,
It was
you
bad.
sounded bad, and I
was
was
bad,
like,
yeah.
"Has he just been glot glot glot? Like what? Why? is
No,
your
just
voice so raspy?"
like if there's pollen, the
In
voice is just
October?
wrecked or whatever it was. I
It
don't
was
know.
October. There's
Maybe
no
I was
pollen.
sick. Who knows?
Yeah, it was just
sick of
I
your
just
shit.
remember thinking
Like it was rough. Yeah.
it was bad, and I
Yeah.
was just like, "Does he have? You know who Kyle Chisholm is?
No.
His voice sounds just like yours, but he actually has like a throat issue or something like that." So I
yeah.
was like, "What if he's got a problem?" So I'm not even gonna ask him. 'Cause
Yeah.
fuck him, because that means I care.
Yeah, that would be terrible.
I don't want you to
Like,
get that impression
no,
at all.
for sure
So,
no.
Anyways,
Speaking of problems, Jesus H. Is that tuberculosis?
no, I have a kid in kindergarten who just is a petri dish of germs. So
Yeah.
I need to put some more salt on these things. I hear it picking up and sticking.
Yeah,
So
that's fine.
yeah.
I'm just glad that you're classy enough to have coasters.
Yeah, those Campfire Moto Story ones too.
Yeah.
I made those. I went to Michael's and got a whole kit. Actually, no, that was Walmart. I think it was Walmart. You got a
No, I
kit
mean
with-
if you
put
go
the
to Michael's,
sticker in
it's
there,
fine. It's fine. If
and
you're
like-
if you're a
like
Michael's
two-part
subscriber or
epoxy
whatever.
thing. You know what?
Yeah.
For the longest time, and you're not gonna doubt that I thought this. I always thought it was Michelle's. For like probably till my
Because you can't
20s.
read.
Well, why would a place that's arts and crafts be called Michael's? I just thought it was a chick place, so I always just read it as Michelle's. It's all fancy cursive letters and shit.
Is
and
it
I'm
that
from Florida.
fancy?
Yes.
I mean, apparently you go to Michael's way more than I. So I'll take your word for this. I got nothing.
I remember telling Megan, like, we got to go to Michelle's. We were probably like married at this point. She's like, what? And I'm gonna give her credit that we were married at this point, because if I would have said that pre-marriage, she probably would
I mean,
have agreed to.
so Megan is already like one of the coolest people walking around. But more important than that, she is the most charitable soul I think I've ever known.
Why would you say that?
She's just a good person. And if she knows what she knew about you and then saw you and I coming down the hill on that scooter, and she was still like, yeah, I'm going to marry this dude. For sure. He and Ed just decided at the drop of the hat. We rehearsed this amazingly like elegant wedding entrance thing. And these two digbags hopped on a scooter and came down the hill and did a little Akira power slide. And she was just like, yeah.
I can't remember. Was I driving or were you driving?
I was driving, dog.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
Come on now.
Well, what's funny is we didn't even plan that. We literally were standing there.
We're-
And we should backtrack up a little bit.
Yeah,
Ed got ordained
I did.
and married my wife and
I did.
And he was the. Do you remember the title?
I was, full disclosure, I had found out a few hours earlier that the clergy drinks for free, which I was super stoked about.
Actually, all drinks were free at that wedding.
But the bartender said the clergy drinks for free, and that's all I needed to hear. And so I just started, just doing work, just doing work at the bar, and got a little silly. And I could, your mom rolled her eyes a lot, but I want to say that somebody else didn't think I was as funny.
No, her mom. Definitely did not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was like, oh, I'm not being funny enough right now. I should probably amp it up a little bit. Should turn it up. Just turn up the funnies a little bit. So I was like, you know what would be very funny? If I signed their wedding license as the Grand Wizard.
And they accepted it.
And I did it, and I heard my date, the girl I was dating at the time, she went like that, and I was like, "What?" And then like the next day, I was going through whatever I was doing, like washing a car or something. I was like, "Oh, I signed it as the Grand Wizard."
A legal Georgia document.
Yeah.
It's framed somewhere in the house.
Megan, I'm sorry. You did not deserve it. Anthony deserves it. You did not deserve that.
No, she thought it was funny too.
Because not just with you, but with like the whole kind of ecosystem of dumbasses, right?
She deals well with it.
She's just like,
And to be honest, she's funny as hell herself.
She is.
So
She's great.
Yeah.
But she's so much smarter and so much more adult than any of us.
Oh yeah.
That the fact that she allows us in her house is amazing to me, or her garage, as it were.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're above the garage, the detached garage. That's right. And all right, what were you talking about before then? Where I said, "Oh, I should add that a scooter."
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're sitting there. We did a few drinks, shots. We did like a whole wedding party shot.
Did
before
we do
it.
shots before?
Yeah, we did. I know we did at least one vodka shot because it was the worst tasting.
Oh,
vodka
yeah,
of
it
our
was bad.
life.
But yeah, we were at the top there, and there's this long stairway
that
down to the altar and the dais or whatever.
Yeah, and there just happened to be my wife's ruckus sitting right there.
Just right
and
there.
I think we looked at each other and we were like, "What?
We should ride that scooter.
Well, I
down.
think we were just like, so how do we get down to there? Should we like just walk down the stairs?
Do we go
between
arm in arm? Would that be funny?
And then we just both kind of looked at the ruckus. I remember at the same time, and then kind of looked at each other, and I don't think we even said it. We just went,
yeah, let's do this. Come on.
Yeah. So then
There was like a momentary, like who's gonna drive and who's gonna ride butts to nuts, and obviously you came up from behind these. Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Well,
I'm a top. Your face.
Are you? It's fine.
No,
it's
I'm
fine.
not. I'm not.
It's
all
fine.
right. So the person that gave me the Opie story was actually Dave Cryer.
Yeah, Cryer.
And he also said to ask him about the time he talked smack to a non-racer, me.
Dave. First of all, that's
After
a
he bought a
erroneous on
Ninja
all
250.
accounts. Yeah.
So fill in the blanks, or I'll keep rolling in.
So again, Dave Cryer, much the same as Opie, just one of those fantastic dudes who early in my like kind of riding and track riding and racing careers, just a good dude, just like always available for an answer, always had something funny to say, and just a smart guy, just one of the guys you want to have around.
And he's always the guy that will look up to you.
It's terrible. You're not exactly a center forward yourself, so calm down.
No, but I've got it on him, so I'm going to use it when I got it on somebody. Okay. He's a little guy, so the joke was looking up. Okay. Go on.
So
carry on.
I had been riding the 250 for I don't know a couple of months, and I was starting to get a little comfortable on it. First of all, like the 250, it's such a, and I say this with all the affection I can muster. It's such a shitty motorcycle, right? Because
even the 08 they changed it right to the new one, right?
Yeah.
Even the 08 is terrible.
Yeah, like, and that's the one everybody was racing, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just shitty, and to go fast on it, pretty much you go into a turn, and you don't really brake as much as you put it on the side, and let the front just scrub off the speed.
Chirp, chirp.
Yeah. And so I started like getting comfortable with that and like doing pretty well. And Cryer had, I think it was Opie's old, I think, does Opie have it before him? Anyway,
Ninja 250?
Cryer had just a great Ninja 250. Like, it was gorgeous. It was all set up.
I couldn't see Opie owning a Ninja 250.
I want to
could
say
be
he
wrong
was
on that.
I want to say he was like, maybe it was Opie or somebody. But
Well, I know
like,
Marmo did like that 6-hour or 12-hour race on one or something. So
Yeah.
was it built for that? Maybe
I don't know. I want to say that like when they came out, they were offering contingency or something.
I could see
Either
him,
way,
yeah, getting
but
one.
it was like a very
I
well
could see
set
him
up
getting one of
250.
them and getting going. I'm not riding this piece of shit.
Yeah.
Being-
But Cryer had it, and I loved riding with Cryer. Like when we were control riding track days together, I just like riding with Cryer. There's something to be said for being on a track with guys that you like and that you trust.
Yeah.
Right. Like early. I've been doing track days for a while before, but when I moved to Atlanta, I started dealing with Meriden Motorsports. And Skip and I were on track together, and we were at Little Tally. We were coming out of the 90s, and Skip came over, and he just like put his elbow on my front fender and looked up, pointed at me, and then burned and took off. And I was like, first of all, that's not neighborly.
Yeah, that's disrespectful. Flat out disrespectful.
But I took it as a huge compliment that Skip felt so comfortable with me that I wasn't gonna like nut up or like freak out or get mad or whatever. He was like, meh, and he took off. And so I just like I wanted Cryer to be there. I wanted him in the pit. But the same thing we were talking about earlier, where you don't really say nice things to people you like. I was like, well, what if instead of just like inviting him or asking him to come race, what if I just talk shit to him? So I was like, something to the effect of like, come on, Cryer, bring it out. And he's like, oh, I don't know. And so finally, the thing that like set him off is I walked into Marbo one day and I was like, all right, Cryer, come get your whooping. Let's go. Come on. Little Tally, whatever weekend it was, come get your whooping. And he was like, okay. And he came out and he got me. I think he finished 2 spots ahead of me.
I don't know. So let me read the rest of this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you come out to get your ass whooped on Sunday,
No,
sissy?
I clearly said, come get your whooping. I remember that.
I'm just reading what he says. And he also
Cryer's
says,
about 90 years old. This is not, there's no reason we should like put any credence in this.
he said, stop using words I don't know. I thank Ed. I thank Ed to this day for getting me out to race. That was my first Wiro race, and OFC I won and never saw him. I don't know what.
Did he win?
Means. And he said, pretty sure at Barber there was a red flag, and the way the red flags went, he lapped you. I'm just reading what he sent me, sir.
That may be
Don't
fair.
shoot the messenger.
That may
Don't
be
kick
fair.
me down the pit of death.
Yeah, the pit of death. That may be right. The thing about racing and the thing about riding bikes
Is too much shit runs together and you don't remember it?
Well, no,
Is that where you're
like-
going with it or no?
more than any other like area that I've experienced in my life, the amount of shit talked has very little impact on what happens on the track, right? There have been very few times when somebody has said something to me or I've said something to somebody and like they've been like, okay, no, actually I'm gonna go get this guy. Or I felt that way.
Well, I think everybody knows not to believe the shit that comes out of your mouth.
And that's
so
fair.
that's
Because that's what we do, right? We at the shop we would just talk noise nonstop. And it was more about like what's the funniest thing you could say versus what's actually true.
yeah.
But the like that sort of thing, like the fact that Cryer came out, I was so pumped. And if we're a Barber, then yeah, he would have gritted ahead of me. And depending on what happens, me and Barber were not friends for like 2 years. I may have put this in the notes. It took me 2 years to like make friends with the track to get to the point where I felt like I was good at it. And then
Did you only ride it on the Ninja 250 or did you ride it on other bikes? Too?
I coached there on plenty of other bikes. But
People
I'll,
allowed you to coach them?
yeah. I was the head novice coach.
I mean, I guess, no, that makes sense because for those who can't do,
Yeah.
you're supposed to finish for those who can't do,
Can't do what?
for those who can't do teach.
Can't do teach? What kind of grammar is that?
There's a comma before the teach. Think.
Struggle with that. No, you're right.
What's funny is, like, I know you're setting me up to look like a dumbass, and I'm accepting it. You know.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry, folks. Anybody listening to this, just turn this off. This is more for he and I's entertainment.
We haven't seen each other in a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
October 13th, 2021.
21?
Yeah.
No.
It was the 10-year anniversary. 2023.
23. Yeah.
Okay, I just made myself look like a dumbass.
Yeah. That's tough.
Why the fuck did I 20?
That's tough. I don't know.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, hopefully Megan will hear that.
Oh, because we've been married 11 years. That's what I was thinking.
Okay, sure.
I was
Whatever
like,
you want to
there's literally a reason for
math
this.
is tough, dude.
It is, yeah. Multiplication. My kid's really good at it.
Yeah,
in kindergarten.
And if you've fallen off a couple of motorcycles, dude, it gets tougher.
Yeah.
It gets a lot tougher.
Where were you going with that? Sorry.
I don't know. I was talking about talking shit. So when you're talking shit to people that you like, right? If you're saying a bunch of stupid things and then like they pass you or they beat you in a race or whatever, you're just like, oh, that's cool, man. Love to see it.
Yeah.
And when the stakes are so much lower, like at a track day, is when like there's some real, like, not bad feelings, but there's some intent there. So I would think about when we would control ride for these groups, and the fast street guys would show up, and they're like, "Man, I'm probably too fast for the novice group. Probably don't even need to be here." And so Kurt Kiesler, rest in peace, and I would go out on our 250s, and
Okay.
yeah, and control ride these guys.
And I wanted to ask you on this, and sorry to cut you off with that,
Yeah.
but I know that name, but why do I know him but don't remember him?
He always wore a cowboy hat. He was a wearer racer. He control rode with us a lot.
Because literally, out of all the stories you sent me, which honestly, thank you for writing my show. I didn't have to do jack shit except for literally leading in with the Dave Cryer stuff he sent me.
Yeah.
I didn't have to do shit. But yeah, your largest bit was Kurt Kiesler.
Yeah. So Kurt and another guy I want to talk about later, but Kurt. So any success I've had as a racer, right?
You've had success?
Yeah, I won a couple of races.
Oh, okay.
And
Novice?
I did okay. No, expert races.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I got the wear plaques at home somewhere in some closet.
I never won a road race, so I'm just
Yeah,
you
no,
got
you're
that on
fine.
me.
I
I know I'm attractive.
But
Thank you.
so any success I've ever had as a racer is because of Huey Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
Just a great coach, a great teacher, and just the best kind of friend at the time to teach you something that you don't know, right? Just a fantastic dude, and I will never say thank you enough to Huey for that stuff. But the success I had as a coach and as a rider coach and a teacher and a control rider and everything, it's because of Kurt. Because he was just he was a racer, and he raced in my class, and he was very quick. He was an older guy, and he would come off the track and he would just shoot you straight. So my first race at Road Atlanta, I only knew Road Atlanta from video games, right? So the bus stop at the top of the hill there.
All right, so I literally was gonna say, like, when you started talking about him, so you said he's a fantastic pit neighbor and competitor.
Yeah.
You need to figure out the bus stop before you get your ass ran over.
No, runned over.
Sorry.
He said runned over.
You're right. I'm sorry for
and
saying
so
it.
like to your point earlier, like we're just like a bunch of dudes talking shit all the time. It was like all the time, just jokes and bits nonstop. Kurt never did that. He was just a fairly serious dude who would occasionally like laugh at a joke, but he would never like really go in on somebody. And
I don't know what to do with people
he was
like
just
that.
a good dude, like just a genuinely good dude. And so we're at Road Atlanta, and my first time there, and I had no idea what the bus stop was, because on every video game ever, you top the hill and then you just have the S's, right? And you go up the hill and you go. And they had some cones set up, but I was like, surely I'm misreading something, obviously, because I don't know what's going on. So I just went that way, whatever. And then so I got black flagged in practice, and I pulled in, and Ed Bargy was like, "Hey, you've missed the bus stop 3 times in a row. What's going on?" This is Ed Bargy, who was my my racer school coach.
Okay. Honestly, I don't think I know what the bus stop is at Road Atlanta.
Well, yeah, you top the hill, right? You go through turn 1.
Okay.
And you go up the hill.
And you got the multiple S lines.
Well, if you're in a car, you go up, and then in turn 3, you bear to the right.
Yeah.
And then you bear to the left, and you go down a couple more times, and it kind of like evens out. Go 5, yeah. So the bus stop is you go to the left, and it's a much tighter chicane, right? And it's for safety reasons, because you don't want to come full tilt boogie on a bike down that hill and lose the front, because you'll slide into the wall. And it's not cool in a car. It's really not cool on a bike.
Okay.
So people were getting hurt. So that's why the bus stop's there. Again, I didn't know about it. So Ed Barty's like, look, just follow somebody through it next time. You'll figure it out. You're not a dumbass. And I was like, oh, Ed, but I am.
Yeah.
Right.
Wait.
But I am.
I'll prove you that wrong.
So I followed through, just super slow, just dog shit slow. And we get in the race, and coming up the hill, like, we're a couple of laps in, and I get caught by somebody. I forgot who it was, but they go by, and then Kurt's coming up beside me, and we kind of touch sides or whatever. And then he goes on. I was like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. And then so after the race, he comes by, and I was like, Kurt, I'm so sorry if I hit you. I don't know what I'm doing up there. And he's like, it's fine.
I don't know what to do. I'm new.
Yeah.
Like Joe.
I
Dirt.
don't know how any of this works, and I'm scared. And he was like, look, man, it's fine or whatever. But I'll tell you what, one thing I will say, you need to figure out that bus stop before you get your ass run over. And like, he wasn't being funny, but the way he said it was hilarious to me. And I was like, I'm not laughing at you for this, but that was hilarious. He's like, I don't care how much you laugh. You need to figure it out. And so eventually I did figure it out, I think. But the next year, after I had a full season of racing and knowing the tracks under my belt, Kurt and I had a bunch of like,
oh, is this the next bulletin point of the close finishes?
Yeah, we had like 4 finishes in a row.
What's the quote?
Where I would like pass him in the last corner, or I would beat him by like a couple of tenths or whatever. And so after the race, coming off the cool down lap, we'd come off, and I would go by and fist bump everybody, whatever. And Kurt and I were pitted next to each other, because we just always did. And I looked over there, and he looked real serious. And I was like, Kurt, you all right? What's going on? He's like, Ed, I'm getting real tired of seeing you out there. And one of those times we were at Roebling, and somebody had jumped the start, but not gotten flagged for it.
No.
And
is it one of those like where you're like, they're gonna flag this person,
yeah,
and then it doesn't happen? You're like, oh,
and I was mad.
Yeah,
I was like super mad.
I've seen.
And when I realized that they weren't going to flag him, then I got even madder. And
like,
I was
just turns red, and you're like,
yeah.
And honestly, I'm gonna compare it to in moto. If I don't jump a jump because there's a yellow flag and somebody fucking passes me because of it, dude, I will instantly, and I'm gonna be like,
and then you make a mistake, right?
Yeah.
And I did. I went into turn 5 way too hot. It's a decreasing radius turn. And I was like, whoa. And then so some guys passed me. One of them was Kurt.
5?
5 at Roebling.
I didn't think that.
3 is the
Yeah,
3 is
yeah,
the
yeah.
left. 4 is one that looks like Sanford and Son because it's just, you know, they have shit piled
Yeah,
on the side of
but
the track.
5 is the other.
5, it goes and then it cuts back on itself.
I don't see how you could run it out on that one, but okay.
I didn't run off the track, but like
Oh, you just ran wide.
I ran wide
Okay.
and was slow. And so Kurt and somebody else went past, and I was like, "No, I'm even madder!" Ah! And so I, you know, they did that and got a shit drive down the front straight, which that Roebling is a long front straight, as you know. On a little bike,
Yeah.
it's even longer. So Kurt was
I
a
feel
full
like on the
straight.
little bike, you would literally be like at the first 100 feet being like, I want to take a nap right now.
Well, yeah, no.
And then you wake up,
you
and
think
then
it-
you're like, oh,
Oh, there she is.
Francis.
Hey, sweet girl. You try to think
Oh,
of
no. That means
What's
the
up,
kid-
B?
What's up?
What's
What
up,
are you
man?
doing? Are you high fiving my hand?
Oh, yeah. I feel like you're doing it wrong. Hey, Megan, good to see you.
Give Ed high fives.
Please. Thank you, sir. Hey, sweet girl.
Have you even? You said that you saw the kid once.
I feel like I've seen him once when he was like a baby. Yeah. Oh, sweet girl. Why do you guys never play with this dog? This poor, neglected dog. Sweet girl.
Will you give me the salt that's on the thing right over
Sweet
there?
girl. So we here, hop down.
B, hey, do you want to drive Ed's car?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to
I'm-
drive his car?
You know,
just I will give you the keys. You go drive.
yeah, you're a little bit taller than your dad, but you still may need help steering over the steering wheel.
That's good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, no, there's like a white salt
It-
thing over there.
So we so he's like a full straight ahead of me, right? And then coming around through 8, the next time through, I see like some
Thank you.
fluff.
All right. You want to give Meg a hug? You haven't seen her
Oh,
in a
dude,
few years. Give her a hug.
I'm gonna take this.
Because our drinks are sticking to the cup
Yeah.
holders.
So
It's literally what it does.
so we there was like some fluff like floating across the track, and I was like, dude, did somebody hit a rabbit? Like what is
B, give me hugs for bed.
like what's going on, dude? Like why is
Love you, bub. Sorry.
yeah. Why is there looks like a dryer fluff lint rolling across the track. That's crazy, right? But I was like, that's weird. I'm racing this. I'm gonna focus on that. And I see Kurt on his red bike. I was like, oh, I'm catching him. Cool. I'm about to get him. So
He's lost 30 horsepower.
yeah, next lap around, I start really pulling up to him coming through 9 at Roebling, which is you turn on the front straight. And I was like, oh, I got you now, dog. I got you. And right about the time I was, probably 10 yards from him, I see some more pecking come out of his muffler. And I was like, oh, that's what that is. That's crazy. And then when he shifts into 6th gear and the bike has a little bit of shake, the muffler comes completely off the bike, right? And I do a big weave. And I think James East behind me also has to do a big weave. And I pass Kurt at the line or whatever and finish him. And it was just one of those moments where I was like, we did that. And then one time at Tally.
Well, I'm sure you were the bigger man and didn't make fun or poke fun at him at all.
I never poked fun at Kurt because
because he was
it
just
made
too
him
nice.
so uncomfortable when the
Yeah.
rest of us would like wolf pack each other. So like, I would like say funny things with Kurt, but I never would like poke at him the way I do everybody else.
Yeah. That's respectable.
Well, he's just a good dude, man. And I was like, you're too good of a guy to be my friend like this. And then like 2 weeks later, we were at Tally, and I was catching him. And if you come through the farmhouse section there's this pretty aggressive curbing on the right side. And I was like, I'm not gonna be able to pass him on the inside. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna break it down there as late as I can and jump on the gas and see if I can pass him on the outside and just like carry over that curbing and just like carry to the finish line. And I went in.
Oh, because it's right there after the
Yeah,
farmhouse.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right.
So I went in, just nose to tail with him, went in and leaned over and rumped on the gas. And the bike just started to push a little bit, which on most bikes, it's fine. Like it just, and you go. On the 250, it's an emotional experience for the bike or something because the bike's like this. And the rear caught that curbing, and instead of like just completely washing out, caught just like the best traction any 250 has ever had on anything. And I passed him and beat him by something like 50 thousandths or something. I don't know what it was. It was very close. And he was just like, and I'm getting tired of looking at you and seeing you out there, buddy. But yeah, so that was Kurt, man. And we lost him in, I want to say 17 or 18, maybe 16. I don't know. But yeah, just.
Do you know how? Or
Yeah,
wanna
he
talk
was in a
about
car accident. Somebody
no.
hit his family's car he was driving, and they passed away. But
The
yeah,
whole
just-
family?
No, just Kurt.
Okay.
Just
the way
Kurt.
you said that.
Yeah, well, that's my fault.
Yeah, I
But
was like,
no,
"Oh, shit."
no, Deidre and the kids are doing great. So last I heard. So, but yeah, just one of those great dudes. And like, when I think about my favorite part of racing and being at the track and riding bikes and working in the industry and all that stuff, it's always people like that. It's always like the relationships of
Yeah.
that, and not to get super granola about it, but like there's something very selfish about being on a motorcycle in the first place, right?
Well, yeah, because it's just you.
Yeah, it's just you, and you
Yeah.
know that when you do it right, It's
I
just you.
never did that, but okay. Yeah.
there have been a handful of occasions that I've run a pretty decent lap and I've been like, yes,
All
that's
right.
right,
Yeah.
I'm doing this. But like guys like Kurt, guys like Billy Etheridge, who we lost a couple of weeks ago.
I know. And so Mark Crozer and Nat
Yep.
did a show, and Mark and I were texting
Yeah.
when all that was unfolding. And I wasn't sure if I was going to start that out with the icebreaker, but
Yeah.
I definitely wanted to touch on it because it was one of those things where I knew the name, never met him in person that I know
Yeah.
of, but dude was the funniest and wildest dude on social media kind of things. And I'm like, I
Dude.
got to get this guy in. And I messaged him like, dude, when are you coming into town? Then I see he's posting about how he's going to drop a podcast,
Yeah.
and then he kills himself.
No, that's not what I heard.
That's my understanding of it.
I don't know the particulars of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The only thing I can say is that Billy was one of my favorite people at the track.
I wish I got to meet. I was
Um,
actually hoping because he was like, I come into town on holidays because I was
Yeah.
like, when do you come to Atlanta, whatever.
Yeah.
So I was hoping to get him in this winter-ish,
Mhm.
for holiday kind of
Yeah.
things. And I was just like, I'm bummed I never got to really experience him.
He
you know?
was. You think about the throwback guys to like the 90s and late 80s stories of road racers where
Yeah.
it really
Almost
was
like the rock stars of back
yes,
in
like
that
it was
era,
like there
right?
really was like the
Yeah.
cocaine and hookers era. Just met him just in passing, just being at the track or whatever,
Mhm.
and just always had something funny to say, which to me is like the mark of like, oh, that's one of my guys. And again, you find somebody you like, and I just always want to take the piss out of him, right? So everybody calls him Wild Bill because he's legitimately one of the
Fucking
wildest
wild.
cats ever.
Yes.
So I start calling him Mild Bill, right? Just because it's
Just to fuck with him.
stupid, and I just want to mess with him, right? I just want to play with him. And he's like, and then like just whatever. And we're at Road Atlanta one year, and I don't get mad about stuff. Like I have a terrible temper, and so I just don't get mad about stuff.
Yeah, once you set it off, right? It's hard to bring it back.
It's just bad.
I feel like there's 3 times in my life I've lost my shit.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and it's not
Yeah.
it's not cool. Nothing's good about it. You don't
No.
feel better. Nobody else feels better. Whatever.
Nope. So it's better just to be a 5
Yeah.
most of the time.
So we're at Road Atlanta. We're out in practice, and they throw the checker. And most everybody is like, oh, they threw the checker. Let's make our way back in and go chill out. This dude named Sean, who's a good dude. I know him to be a good dude. He's a friend of mine. He and some other guy were on, I guess R3s or something. It doesn't matter. But they came through turn 5 and they split me and somebody else. And like so close that Sean's foot peg hit my elbow and like knocked my hand off the bar. And I was like, what is going on? And like, I had a whole half lap to get mad about it. And he was pitted over closer to Billy. And so I went over there. I stopped by Sean's pit on the way over there. And I was like, hey, that wasn't cool. That wasn't safe. If you ever do that again, I'm not going to go put my bike on stands. I'm just going to drop it right here. I'm going to beat the shit out of you. And he's like, what? And I was like, you heard me. You heard me.
I said what I said.
Yeah.
You heard it.
Like,
we can be cool.
I know that you're like, I know you to be a good guy. Maybe you made a mistake. But if you do that again, I'm going to beat your ass. And that's it. Then I rode off and whatever and went to the motorhome. And I wasn't super mad anymore, but I was still a little mad. And later in the day, Billy comes over and he's like, you know, Billy Other's big roly-poly dude. And he's like, yeah, I saw you telling old boy what's up over there. I didn't think you had it in you. I thought you was a sweet boy. And so he called me sweet boy from that day on. And I was like, fine, yeah, I really am. I really am a sweet boy.
What about the busted knee at Tally?
Okay, so Bill, we're at Talladega, and Billy wrecks in the carousel. Low sides, slides out, tears his leathers up, and he comes back. And I'm pitted down from him, and he's sitting there, and he's looking at his knee, and I can see it's you know, all kinds of messed up. So I go over there, and I'm looking at it, and he's like, "What do you think?" And I was like, "He's like, can I make my race later on?" And I was like, "You can if you were a huge dumbass, and so you probably will do that or whatever." And I was like, "You need stitches." And he's like, no, whatever. And I was like, "Okay, well, look, we can probably wrap it up and at least like keep it somewhat together so you don't do anything else to it as long as you don't fall on it or whatever." But I say you need stitches like 3 or 4 more times. And the last time he's standing there and he sits down and he goes, "Well, why don't you stitch me up, Dr. Pussy?" And first of all, I was like, that's hilarious. That's a very funny thing to say to anybody. But I was like, "Billy, I'm trying to help you out." And he's like, "It doesn't sound like it, man. It doesn't sound like it one bit." But just a solid dude. And again,
Did you at least do like butterfly stitches or try to find something like that?
I
Super
think-
glue?
I want to say we got some tape of some sort
Okay.
and
Yeah,
like
that works.
got some kind of cloth and then taped up around it.
Pushed it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's always something funny to say. So it's the last Billy story I'll tell because I think it's my favorite one. I think James was racing the SV that year, and he was losing the brakes like every practice.
Is the James East you were
Yeah,
talking about
yeah.
before? Yeah. Does he have a brother named Spencer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually want to get those two on. I kind of know the both of them.
Yeah, funny dudes.
Yeah.
Funny dudes. So I was working on the brakes on his SV, like every Suzuki ever. Like the master cylinder is just not good. Somewhere Billy I think heard me say that he's a big Suzuki guy, and he's mad at me right now for saying that. But the master cylinders are just bad, and so I'm bleeding it. I'm trying to make sure everything's seated and right, make sure the pistons are clean, and go through all my stuff. Billy rolls over. He's looking at it, and Billy always raced thousands, right? GSXR 1000s, its bikes were always immaculate and fast and perfect. And he sits there, and he's trying to talk to me or whatever, and I was like, "Billy, just let me fix these brakes, please, because I really want to get this right." And he goes, "Well, hell, man, you better get them things top notch because that thing might get up to, I don't know, 47 miles an hour on the back straight." And it wasn't even my bike, but I was like, "Ah, damn. Yeah, Billy, it's cold-blooded." But so funny. And then he called me sweet boy and he rode off or whatever. But the world is a a largely less funny and less wild
Yeah.
place without him, man.
Yeah, and he doesn't know what happened. He only Mark heard like things like a neighbor found him and that kind of stuff, and it's like
Yeah.
I was like, damn. Like, all right, so Freeman, the motocross track,
Mhm.
and the owner, King, I remember when he passed away and I was talking, it was either Kevin or Kyle, one of the two sons, and they said, what bums me out the most about losing him is all the kids that won't get to come through the track to experience him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that really stuck with me about him. And I feel like he was kind of one of those dudes that's on that same level because
Yeah.
not even knowing him, hearing a few stories here and there, and just being like, I want to meet this guy.
Yeah, he was definitely a throwback. Like he and Tim Beamersturfer would race two big boys, and they would race together. And every now and again, they'd come back into the pits and they'd have something to say to each other.
Were you
Yeah.
just like the popcorn eating?
No,
meat?
so I designed Billy's Moto America poster at some point one year, maybe 2 years, and I went. I was just went to the races, and
That's weird because you're not that creative.
I'm not. Just really good looking. And I went up there to like make sure that all the printing went fine or whatever. And I want to say he and Tim were mad about something, and they were like opposite sides of the canopy, not yelling, but like talking
Sternly.
pretty sharply to one another.
Yeah.
And I was standing there, and I was like, "These two big old boys want to do something. Like I need to take my 175-pound butt somewhere else. Like I'm too pretty for this. I don't want this." And they were fine because they're just great
They're just
dudes.
chirping.
Yeah, but throwbacks, man, just like complete throwbacks to what you want, and like that's the stuff that's important to me about the racing stuff is that there were people that you meet that ordinarily you would not cross paths with.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Kurt had a like an audiovisual event company, right? He put up like speakers and stages and stuff out near Brazelton and Winder and all that stuff.
Okay, so like near Road
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think Billy's business was like putting up holiday decorations or something. Did
Huh.
pretty well. I didn't know there was a business, but apparently it was. So awesome.
Like putting up Christmas lights for people?
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently that's like
that's a
big.
thing.
Fucking
Yeah.
these bougie ass bitches like want their house to look like to beat the neighbors.
Yeah. So I will never pay anybody to put up lights in my house, but
No.
at the same time,
I do the minimum at here. Yeah.
If it were up to me, I would do the minimum as well. But like my wife is Roswell Milton Clark Griswold. She's like, well, I want the inflatable snowmen, and I want the landscaping lights to change colors and stuff.
Jeez, I'm sorry.
Nah.
So the funny thing with that is Megan wants to be that, but she won't put the effort in to assist with that. Just tell her no. But what I do,
You better never tell Megan no about anything.
she does not do well if you say no to her for anything. I will say that. But what I do is I buy her something 1 to 2, 3 at max, new Christmassy things each
Mhm.
year.
Yeah.
But 3 to 4 fail every year too.
Yeah.
So it's like a constant balance that she doesn't realize is a balance. I'm just maintaining.
Yeah.
So I have switched to inflatables because it's way easier than lights. that
And
kind of
they're
stuff.
good for about
Yeah.
2 years, and then you replace them, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
we had the 2 inflatable snowmen. We had a lot of wind around the Christmas this year.
And worst case, if it's lasting longer, you knife it, and they
Yeah.
don't know the better. Oh no, it ripped right at the seams.
They're just gonna be like, "Oh no, the intake fan got some mulch in it 'cause that's right
Yeah.
there in the bed. Oh dang, dude.
Yeah, the dog chewed the wiring.
Yeah.
Why is your mouth black? I don't know.
Yeah, don't worry about it." It's like when I was telling a story earlier this week about something at work, and I was like, when I was like 10 or 11 in the summertime, Dad would go to work and be like, "Hey, got the grass today, buddy." I was like, "You got it, Dad. I'm on it." Then like 4:30, and I've been screwing about all day. I was like, oh no,
Oh shit.
the grass. So I would just barely take the spark plug lead off the spark plug. And then when Jim rolled in, he'd be like, why is the grass not cut? And I was like, Dad,
I've been trying to
start
fix this thing all.
Like, you see how sweaty I've been trying to start this thing all day. I put
Splash
new
him all
gas
over
in
your
it.
face.
And then Jim's like, all right, well, I'll figure it out. And then he goes and he's like, he seats the spark plug. He goes, you change the spark plug? And I was like, Dad, I didn't. I'm sorry. And he was like, all right, well, just cut the grass tomorrow.
Did you ever tell him that?
No. I'd never told him that. There are a few stories that I will tell, when Dad leaves us. But there's just things that I hope my dad never finds out, and that's one of them.
He's still kicking, right?
Oh yeah.
All right, I'm
Yeah.
gonna send him this.
Yeah, because Dad's always listening to podcasts.
No, I'm gonna clip this and I'm gonna get his number because I get your mom's number, and I'm gonna send him this. So.
That's adorable.
For the right amount of money, though, I will not send it.
Yeah.
So I'll just say that. You know what? Since you were talking about work, one thing I've always wondered is, what the fuck do you do for work? Because that's been a little bit of a mystery for me. Because I don't want to say this. You're one of the more intelligent people I've ever met.
That's fair.
I will say that.
That's fair.
Like, I
More
think
intelligent, best dressed, best looking, best hair.
none of those other things. I'm
No,
just going with
all of those
intelligent.
things. I'm actually not done.
I'm not.
Anyway,
no,
finish what you're
intelligent.
saying.
Intelligence is the only one I'm gonna say
Yeah.
because I think I heard you were a college professor
Yep.
at one time.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was a literature professor for about 6 years.
Anytime that I've had a question dude, the movie that I wrote, I literally sent you
Mhm.
and was like, hey, when you have time, just read this. Let me know what you think. I
Yeah.
think it was 3 hours later. You sent me 3 pages of notes.
Yeah.
And I was just like, dude, this took me like a year to write.
Yeah.
And you literally tore it apart.
I wasn't tore it apart.
No.
So I've done
and
some
honestly,
script punch up in the past. So
Yeah.
it's easier to punch up than it is to write.
I
So
know.
that's that.
I'm feeding
Yeah.
you that shit. But no, and it was honestly like raw honesty. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Where I was just like, what the fuck is going on in your brain? Because I've always appreciated the level of sarcasm and all that stuff, but I've never met a combination of intelligence into that sarcasm that uses it that way with those things. Usually it's just dumbasses like me that can insult one another.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I've
so,
always wondered like what you did.
So I was a university professor for about 6 years. And then I think about the time we met, I had been recruited by a publishing company to be a consultant, right? To help them make better textbooks, right? So I was doing that. I was flying around, traveling around. And I did it for like 2-3 years and just got tired of traveling so much. So it was making it hard to go racing.
Yeah.
And just wanted to work for myself. And I was like, I'm going to only do what I want to do for a year, right? And so I started doing marketing consulting, started doing some just general business stuff like, hey, here's how I think your business can run a little better, right? And did some graphic design, some marketing campaign work, and just sort of figured it out, and also allowed me to just do what I wanted to do. Like I was able to do that, and then also spend 5 days a week up at Marietta Motorsports.
Yeah, because
And-
you were at the shop all the time, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
how's this fucker making money?
yeah, and just like got to learn so much, right?
Yeah.
So did that for a while, and then I wrecked at Barber and dislocated this wrist. And you can't really see it.
Oh, I can see it a little bit.
It's a little bendy.
Yeah.
But when I did it, I stuck my hand between my knees and like put it back in place immediately because like
yeah.
a dumb animal. And I went to the doctor that Monday, and he was like, "Hey, don't ever do it again. But because you put it back in place before it swelled up, you saved yourself a lot of real like serious trouble. Because if you hadn't, you'd need like 80 grand in surgeries. And so 2 things. Maybe think about not doing that anymore. Second thing, think about getting some really comprehensive and good health insurance.
Wait, why would that have? Why would he recommend not doing that to save 80 grand in injuries?
Because it was very lucky from his point of view.
So, like, because if you did it wrong,
Because if it had not dislocated in the certain way that it did when I like yanked it up or whatever, then I could have like really broken something or done some serious damage.
huh?
So I didn't go to doctor school. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he had a great point because I had.
But you did stay in the Holiday Inn at some
Yeah,
point.
yeah. I am a super smart guy according to you. So
You are, and I hate it.
So about that time, I got an offer to work for a real marketing firm. And it was interesting work. It was like high-end luxury stuff like Rolls-Royce and Gulfstream and Audemars Piguet watches and Graf diamonds. It's like really high-end stuff.
Yeah, try not to name drop though or anything like that.
Yeah. But it was interesting. And also they had great health insurance. And I was like, I can just keep doing what I'm doing, not have to worry about, losing my little townhouse if I get hurt. So I did that. I worked that for about 10 years, I think. And then fast forward to today, I'm the chief experience officer for a nonprofit here in Atlanta. So, when you go to like,
Which is weird to hear nonprofit because all I think about is the profits that you're ranking in.
yeah,
Yeah, that's fair.
no, it's totally fair. And I think one of the reasons they hired me is I approach it like a profit business.
Yeah.
But instead of, chasing, bottom lines and stuff, like, hey, let's approach these partnerships with our funders, like the organizations that pay us the money to do what we do.
Huh.
Let's approach it like we're for real business partners. So anyway, it pays the bills.
Yeah.
And lets me
I'd say
do what I want to do. So, yeah, that's super boring.
Yeah.
That's all super
No,
boring.
but it honestly is pretty interesting to hear
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Are
So-
you running out of drinks here? You need some more? No.
I'm good for the moment. Yeah.
No, you gotta make sure you're good and sober for the expensive ass nonprofit car
Oh,
that you drove here.
Yeah,
that I
yeah.
offered my kid to drive a second ago. Which
Yeah.
actually, I don't know if you know this. He can hotwire. I showed him how to do that. The car might be gone.
that's fine.
Yeah.
We would
'Cause-
hear it.
Yeah.
We would hear it.
I don't know. They're smart enough. He's smart enough to push it up. He can get up there. All right. So, what's some other things that we want to hit on? There's some more. There's a whole page full of Kurt Kessler things.
Yep.
You know what? Since we're on the topic of the things you've done and all this other stuff,
Uh-huh.
I think it's going to be pretty cool. No, I'm even going to backtrack a little bit more. This isn't even anything I wrote. How did you get into motorcycles? Like, usually an intelligent person like you chooses things that are not motorcycle related.
Yeah. So when I was my first memory as a human being, right? My dad and my uncle both had KZ1000s.
Okay.
And when my sister was born, my dad got rid of his. My sister's older than I am. My Uncle Jack still had his. He was in the Navy. Dad got married, started having kids. Uncle Jack was still wild. It was awesome. My first like legitimate memory is sitting on the gas tank of that KZ1000 and going around the block.
Yeah.
So my mom worked in healthcare, and she was at the hospital that day. And I can't imagine the shitstorm that happened when she found out that her 3-year-old child was riding around on the gas tank of a motorcycle with no helmet on with her wild ass brother-in-law. And so like,
Imagine. Yeah.
and then growing up, we always had dirt bikes and go-karts and stuff. And
Which I don't even know how old you are. What year would that have been?
I'm 46, so this would have been 81.
Fuck, you're 40.
I know, right?
way younger looking than you
I
appear
know,
to be, sir.
I'm just
I always knew you were
just
older
clean
than me,
living,
but I
dog.
didn't think that was
just
it.
clean living.
Yeah,
No,
cocaine and
absolutely.
hookers. Yeah.
Um, and then like we always had go-karts and stuff. Just
Yeah.
like and had cousins with dirt bikes and stuff. And so this is South Georgia. And like for real dirt neck shit where it's all flat. And like my cousin Britt always had dirt bikes and we would go and ride them the land, like the family like land or whatever. And
Now this isn't Britt Linton, right?
no, similar dude though, right?
It's just funny enough that I haven't met another dude named Britt
yeah,
since Britt.
yeah, it's
And to find out you have a cousin named Britt's pretty crazy.
Britt always had, and so like whatever the like 10-year-old's scale Honda was at the time, so like a CRF 80 or whatever it was.
Well, it would have been XR.
XR 80, excuse me,
yeah.
XR 80 or 100 or whatever it was. Like it had a real transmission. I remember that. And it was just fun. And I wasn't smart enough to know how much danger was involved, right? So we got to the land, and I remember looking over at Uncle Ed, Britt's dad, and my dad going, huh. Because I was ripping. Like just getting it done. Oh yeah.
No, don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that.
And was just just doing really well, and then started crashing, and they're like, oh, this actually kind of sucks. Maybe I should stop doing that. But yeah, and then you grow up and you start doing other stuff, and we lived in the suburbs, not really a chance to have a motorcycle, like a dirt bike there. So just didn't. And then one day I was in grad school in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and not really enjoying being in grad school, and drove by a Harley Buell dealership and saw a Buell Blast. And I was like,
Ed, there's not many times in my
time
life.
out.
Okay.
I didn't.
All right. I'm gonna let you finish. I'm just letting you down. I'm just right now in this second. I'm
setting this up. I'm storytelling. Go with me here, right?
All right. I'm in. I'm vested.
Okay. Saw a Buell Blast, and I was like, oh, maybe I should buy a motorcycle. So, I thought about it. I bought like a Cycle World.
What year
or
would
something.
this have been?
This would have been 2000.
I feel like 2 or 3.
2000.
2000. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Buells were out then.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was around 2000, and I was like, I should buy a motorcycle. I really should. And I said that out loud in front of the girl I was dating at the time, and she called my sister, and my sister called my mom. And my parents had been divorced by then, and they weren't really speaking. And my mom called my dad, and Dad was like, "Bubba, you think about buying a motorcycle?" And I was like,
did this all happen within like 1 hour?
Dude, it was like seriously within a day. And I was like, I mean, yeah, but why? Because your mama called me and like she's concerned. And so Dad and I talked for a bit, and then like after about 30 minutes, he's like, well, you know what?
Maybe you should buy a motorcycle.
You'd probably be all right. Just, as long as you're smart about it or whatever. And anyway, so Dad ended up, he was like, well, what do you think about getting? And I was like, honestly, I don't know. And he's like, well, go down there and look, see what you're thinking about, and then call me back. And I went down there and I saw a ZX12R, right? And I was like, maybe the first smart decision of my entire life. I was like, that's amazing. That's a terrible decision.
Yeah.
So instead, I got a Ninja 500. And because I decided the 250, I didn't want to do that because that's when they were super ugly at the time. And the 500s weren't much better looking, but they were better looking.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah. But I told Dad, and I was like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. This is how much it costs. And he was like, well, can you afford it? And I was like, I'm real close. And he's like, can you afford it and a helmet and the gear you need? And I was like, it's less close. And he goes, all right. And he sent me like $1,000 or something so I could get everything sorted out and be safe.
That's fair.
And had not ridden a motorcycle since I was
Like
probably
the XR?
13. Yeah.
Yeah.
Since I was doing wheelies on the XR. And the lady was like, do you know what you're doing? And I was like, I mean, I've ridden dirt bikes and stuff. I can figure this out.
I got this.
And so in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, from the 6 miles from the dealership to my house, I didn't choke down leaving the dealership, which I thought was a personal win, right? I was like, yes. This is even before like Instagram and everything was a thing, and like you look for those
that was
reels
way
and stuff.
before.
Yeah. So like leaving the first stop sign, however, for sure, not a 12, but a solid like 10:30 in first gear. And then I was like, oh, and I got it down. And then the first time I came to a stop, again, not like nothing crazy, but got the back wheel off the ground. And I was like, I need to rethink some things. And then, and then since then, I think since then, I've almost always had a bike. And
That's pretty great. And I'm glad I asked that because I meant to like write something in to ask that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think like moving forward, it's probably a good like icebreaker story to tell, like what's your origin story
Yeah.
with bikes and stuff, because all the people that I'm really jealous of, like they grew up with like they had their own, what's the 50 Yamaha, the little one that everybody starts on,
PW?
PW50,
Yeah,
right?
Yep.
And I'm just super jealous of those guys. So yeah, but why aren't you like fast though? You started like then.
We can move past that one. We both know that's not true. And you could said, why weren't you fast? Because I'm definitely not now.
Oh,
But,
dude,
you
being
know.
fast is overrated.
It is.
Like
Your knees hurt the next day.
all that
and-
matters now is that on my outlap, if I can find where the photographer is and
You do
make a
something
note of
cool.
it. And I was like, all right, in 2-3 laps when I'm like up to speed, I may drag ass around the rest of the track, but I'm gonna like really make a picture for this. So I would always find Raul and be like, okay, cool, there he is. So if you go to my office now downtown, there's a picture of me at Talladega in the carousel, just fully like lean over my elbows like that far off the ground.
So close. Dude,
Yeah.
I remember being pissed off I didn't get my elbow on the ground there. Like I was so close. Yeah.
It's right there. I think the tires have gotten so much better year over year that I could probably do it within a session right now.
You keep telling yourself that.
I'm not going to try.
But I'm just saying, keep
Yeah.
telling yourself that because there's no other way
No.
to prove that it's not correct
Yeah.
unless you go to try it, right? So just you can say that.
So
That's all I'm saying.
if you're at Barber and you leave the museum and you go through the first chicane, which is wide open,
To the left, right?
yeah, you go left and then
Yeah,
up
yeah.
the hill, and you got all that gravel on the outside, which
Mhm.
you
No.
can't look at it. 'Cause
Nope.
If you look at it, you're going over there.
No, you gotta
right?
look over
You're
there.
way down.
Yeah.
But the second chicane where it goes down and then G's out and go back up, I've put my elbow down on that curbing many times. And then you go up. And every time I'm like, you're actually the baddest ass who's ever lived. But like the guys who just like will plant their elbow
And
and go
drag it
through?
Use it as like a pivot point to
That-
control the motorcycle.
I don't understand it. But yeah, that's
When's the last time you've been to Barber?
the Thanksgiving after we got engaged, which would have been 18. So Thanksgiving 18. I was a control rider there. And then
So yeah, that's been a minute.
it's been a minute, yeah. And I keep thinking like, oh yeah, next time Moto America's there, I'm gonna go and see everybody and do everything. But then it's so tough to be at the track and not ride.
Yeah.
And Jeff May told me that one time when I was helping him out, I guess at Daytona one year. I was putting on the rear tire or whatever I was doing. And I was like, He's like, this may be it. And I was like, well, am I going to see you at Road Atlanta? And he's like, I'm not going if I'm not
Yeah,
riding, dude.
I'm
I
not
can't just
riding.
like stand around. But it's tough, man. Like if I don't have, I'm not working at the track, or if I'm not
You don't have
going,
a purpose, right?
yeah,
Like,
if
you
I,
gotta have a purpose.
yeah, if I'm just going like to take pictures,
Yeah,
and that's
that's a
something.
purpose.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
an activity.
Yeah.
But like, go up there and like sit on a cooler and watch people go around the track. It's
Yeah.
tough.
I was gonna say the last time I went was Vintage Barber Days,
Mm.
and they actually built a really cool motocross track there now.
I've
So
heard.
it's really fun. So that bitch has been on it. One moto, and then the head gasket blew.
I mean, I'm looking at the head gasket right now. That's a
Yeah,
pretty beefy one.
Yeah, yeah. I've learned a lot about that bike since that one moto on that thing.
Jeez.
Yeah, that not only is that copper head gasket that's dissembled, all the studs taken off, stone grinded smooth on both sides, copper head gasket sprayed on the gasket, and then reassembled. This thing wasn't in the studio for like 3 months as I was learning how to make this not leak again.
I just think it's the safest place for a two-stroke 500.
Tell the people what you
for
said as soon
everybody.
as you saw it.
My whole leg started hurting. Because if you've ever tried to start one of these and not succeeded, the kickback on it is so violent. And then if you do get it started,
Well, then you have to ride it.
you have to ride it. And I rode one for about 20 minutes and it never for a second stopped reminding me like, hey, at any minute, I will send you to the moon. And it will be so quick it won't even hurt. It won't hurt till later.
Yeah.
Right? But just I've been on one of these, I've been on a KX 500. And both times I've been like, this is actually a terrible idea. And it would be in the best interest of me and the general public for me to not be on this
Yeah.
thing. So yeah. Oof.
So I did pull up a few things here
Okay.
since we were talking about your intelligence, and I made
Oh,
a
jeez.
crack about you're not creative. What was it? Was it
Eberhart Creative, yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
It's
So-
a small business that paid the bills and also gave me a very good way to not lose as much money racing.
So Ed is actually a very just gifted person with intelligence, and honestly, I feel like the least gifted thing you are is probably motorcycle
It's
racing.
up there, dude. It's up there. Like
But
I have,
everything else, it's incredible how good you are at things. It's like, that's one of the main reasons why I hate your face.
Yeah.
But so let's look at some of these. Touch on some of these
Yeah.
paintings you've done. So these are all paintings you've done.
yeah. So what are we clicking on here?
You tell me.
So just start over here on the top left. So yeah, this is right after Nikki Hayden passed away, and this is him on the Honda MotoGP bike, and I have this series where it's called the American Dream or something, but basically it's people subjects over an American flag, right? And so people that you don't consider like heroes in the proper sense, but like people that have been formative in some way. Like
Yeah.
I think there's a Notorious B.I.G. one. There's a Patrick Swayze one, and then there's Nikki Hayden, who I had the absolute pleasure of meeting Nikki standing on the pit wall at Barber one year, and despite being one of the fastest dudes to ever throw a leg over a bike, just a dude from Kentucky, just like a solid cat. And then when he passed away, I just kept thinking about it, and I was like, I really want to do this, and so I did that one, and I was really pleased with how it turned out. And most of these, honestly, some of them are commissions, right? Some of them people are like, hey, this is what I want. This is like the basic idea I like. What can you do? But most of these are, I spend 50, 60 hours a week working, right? And like doing intellectual, high level stuff that is challenging in a very narrow way. And by going down in the garage and working on a bike or a car or painting or anything like that, just lets me kind of like check out of that. And that's what most of this stuff is. It's just like, let me go downstairs with a liquor drink, put on some loud music, and see what happens. And because I think about motorcycles a hell of a lot, they usually, go into it.
What's another one we should go on?
Yeah. So this is what that one right there.
This one?
Yeah. So this is my good buddy Mike Daniels. He wanted a painting, and it's him on the R6. And yeah, just
I feel like I remember building that bike or dynoing it.
we
or
worked on
something.
it a lot. Yeah. But
Which
yeah,
is funny because when you said his name, I was like, I know I've met this guy, but I don't remember enough of the stuff
so
about it.
that's
But I remember the bike.
yeah, that's Mike. That's a huge painting. That's I think it's like 4 feet wide, 6 feet tall, something like that. It's big.
It's almost a sheet of plywood at that point.
Yeah, like it's a big one. It's honestly it's the way I prefer, because like the little fiddly stuff.
Yeah.
It's,
Oh, you like the big ones?
yeah, you know I do.
I figured.
Which is why you're never invited over.
You know what? You've never invited me over to your house.
That's
now that you
right.
say that. Well, no, the townhome. I've been to the townhome.
Yeah, you've been to the townhome.
A few
It's
times.
a different place. But yeah, then so you got the green one there. Actually, Spencer East has this green one.
This one?
Yeah.
Right here?
Yeah. So this is a series that somebody gave me. I think Raul, High Side Photo Raul, gave me like 3 or 4 canvases that they had made for something. He's like, "You can use these," and I was like, shit, I'll try it, whatever. And so I have 3 of these things, and the theme was like rules for life or maxims or whatever.
Yeah.
So like one of them is, if you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly. One of them was, this one, when in doubt, throttle out. I think that's the one Spencer has.
I hope you're not going to ruin one of the things I'm about to bring up. Okay, go on.
I might. The last one is, it's a lasagna, and it says, "Real G's move in silence." And somebody in Grant Park bought that one, and I was actually really mad. She still had that one. It was funny.
No, what I was going to bring up is your stickers that you put on my van.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead. What? Go ahead, do the symbol.
So this is it right here. Here's half your problem.
What's the other half?
It's right there, which is terribly problematic. But a million years ago, I was playing soccer, and
Yeah, I was going to ask where you came up with that, because that was one of the funniest things.
trying to take free kicks, and we had this coach, and he.
And for those who are just listening to the audio things, it's basically you take your hands into like a symbol of a vagina. So
yeah.
here's half your problem. Here's the other half that makes you a vagina.
Yeah, so we were at the end of practice or whatever, and I was taking free kicks, and just they weren't going in well. And so I was standing there, I was trying to talk to some guys or whatever, and the coach, who had never cracked a joke in his entire life apparently, he's like, "Eberhart, I think I know what it is. Here's half your problem right here." And I was like, "Wait, what?" He goes, "And here's the other half." And I was like, "Wow." And so it just became like one of those things that you just say.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Perfect punctuation for any thought.
Yep.
So yeah.
No, because I remember before you had the stickers made, like talking shit and just like discussing this or that, and you're like, "Oh, you did the same thing he did."
Yeah. Here's half your problem right here. Yeah. Like us trying to get off an axle bolt of of some dude.
It's basically like be a man kind of thing. So is what you're saying.
Some dude would bring his M109 Suzuki in that had never had any service done in 7 or 8 years.
I don't honestly want to talk about M109s at fucking Marmo.
Oh man, I would love to have one, but I don't ever want to work on one again. That and a VMAX. I love the idea of it, but
well, just the cruiser guys in general of their like show bike are the most diva motorcycle people. You know what? Or before the show, we made a few ground rules.
Yeah, we're just
one
gonna
of
leave it
them
alone.
was to not talk shit on people. We're just gonna go past that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyways. Oh, sorry, you triggered memory.
Oh,
there.
pudding.
I need a cuddle.
Yeah.
You want to sit over here? We'll
No,
sit in this chair together.
I think I'm totally
We just need
good.
one camera angle at that point.
I think I'm just good. I think I just don't need it.
All right, back to the paintings.
Yeah, so the paintings. So most of it is just you have an idea and you think like, all right, I don't have any training as an artist. I don't. All this is me figuring this out. And every now and again, I get an idea, and my only rule is if I'm not happy with it, just keep painting. Just
Until it makes you happy,
just
kind of
keep
thing.
going until you
Yeah.
think it's done. There's always a moment on the good ones where you go down there one night and you're looking at it and you go, if I do one more thing to this, there's a good chance I'm going to ruin it, but it might be perfect, right?
Yeah.
And I always take the chance because like the stakes are so low, right? Like,
yeah. What's the worst that's gonna happen?
yeah.
Right.
So I always take it. And so if you go to the one of Barber there with the Barber Tower, right there, it kind of was what it was, and I was like, it is. I was like, it's a little dark. I want to add some lighter colors to it, right? And so I just made a mess with that watercolor, and I think that it completely transformed it. It's one of the ones that like I look at it and I don't. It's a better painting than I am an artist.
Yeah.
And so I just like you get a couple of laps like that, right? Where you finish the lap and you go, there's really no reason that I should have been able to do that. That was perfect.
Yeah, that's like flow state.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, not to get super granola, but my wife
You keep saying that, but it just makes me hungry. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what you mean. So
my wife trained as a yoga instructor, and I was talking about that.
very flexible. Okay.
Talking about that in terms of being on the bike, right? Where you're so focused on what you're doing that you don't really have to think about anything else. And then when you get off the bike, because you've been working so hard, like mentally and physically, you're just clean. You're just like, the best kind of exhausted. And I would find out, like after a race weekend, I'd be in the best mood for a week. And she goes, it's because you were meditating. That's what meditating is. Like thinking so clearly or focusing on
something. I've never
something.
thought about it like that.
Me either. And so that's how I think about this stuff now. Like when I go downstairs and I just like put on music or whatever, and I'm just kind of like making a mess and just following process more than like thinking about it.
Yeah.
And stuff just happens, and you're like, oh, that's cool, or oh, that sucks. I probably need to just start over. So,
I don't like how you're making me feel right now.
I know it's tough, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. I think we'd go down this road with
Do
it.
you want this? Do you
but-
need this now?
No, it's not there yet.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's they say to write what you know. I think paint what you know. What I know a little bit about
it is kind of funny because like I've never tried to write anything until I went down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And I literally leaned on you for like, hey, what book should I read? And I feel like you were probably surprised that I actually read them. So it was Stephen King's On Writing.
On Writing, yeah.
Yes. And you said anytime that you're about to write something, you read this book.
Yep.
And when I read it, I was like halfway through, I'm like, why the fuck did he tell me to read this? And by the time I'm like 3/4 and towards the end, I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
You know?
Because it's very nuts and bolts. It's
Yeah.
not like a bunch of like theoretical bullshit. As somebody who was paid to teach the theoretical bullshit for many years, at the end, it's like, do you care about the characters?
Yeah.
Do they make sense?
Yep.
Is there a through line of plot? Do they grow? Do they change?
I know.
Is there drama there? What
And it
do they
was weird
learn?
because you don't realize what you're learning because he's literally telling his story
Yeah.
of how he came to be in a sense.
Yeah.
And like I said, by the end, you're like, Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And yeah. So
So the
thanks for
best,
that.
yeah,
That was
well, I don't like doing nice things for you, but that was one of them.
But yeah, no, same kind of thing. Like I would just go into just
Yeah, you just get in the state, right?
yeah.
And I don't know.
And in a weird way, I've gone into those states more on a street bike than a dirt bike because with a street bike I feel I can flow and not overexert myself too much. But on a dirt bike you're just getting hammered and just
Yeah.
beat up. And by the time you get done with it, you had those moments, but you're also just getting the shit kicked out of
Yeah.
you. Where I wasn't in good enough shape to go into the flow state. There's a few times where I've had it happen, but yeah, and then you're just in pain. So
Yeah.
with road racing, I've definitely felt and experienced that. Now that you say it, meditation
Yeah.
spot more than I've ever done.
I think
on
I've
a
done
dirt
it
bike.
3 times on a dirt bike, and every time it
I'm
was
probably
on
the
the
same.
trails, and it's been when I had a new front tire.
Interesting.
Yeah. Also, as fast and as good as I thought I was when I was a kid, as soon as I went up to like Highland Park and there were like a lot of elevation changes, all that went out of the window. Like all the adult fear in me is manifested in going down a hill on a dirt bike.
I can see that.
And also there's a bunch of us that were riding all the time, and I think there were like 7 or 8 of us. And like by the end of that summer or fall, whenever it was, everybody but me had been to the hospital. And I was like, you know what, guys? I think probably
Now I'm done here.
time to get rid of this old KTM and stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
This has been 2010-ish, and I'm trying to put pieces of this puzzle together because something just clicked to me when you're talking about that.
Mhm.
You had a KTM.
Mhm.
Where we were working on it.
Yeah.
And something fell down into the head? Or was that a customer's bike?
It wasn't my bike. I don't
Okay.
know.
I was getting stories mixed up then.
Yeah.
I have a very cool magnetic movable
Yeah.
thing that I still have today that I bought to fish this bolt out.
Well, you may have done
It
it.
might have been for
Yeah.
your bike and we just didn't ever tell you. I'm not even making this shit up.
Yeah.
Like I'm recalling this shit right now.
Yeah.
It was like an 05 KTM.
I think it was a
4-stroke?
little older. It was a 4-stroke. It was a 250, but it had a 350 jug on it.
Yes. It was your bike.
Yeah.
We never told you.
That's fine.
Somehow we're working on it.
Mhm.
Right down the spark plug hole. And instead of taking the whole thing apart, the Snap-on or Matco guy
Yeah.
came by that day and we were like, we have this problem. What can we do? And he's like, well, I've got this really cool dude, I almost want to go run down and grab it.
I believe
You know
it.
what? I'm going to play a commercial
Yeah.
and bring this thing up because I've had it
Yeah.
since then. It's 15 years.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I bought to fish this thing out of your engine.
Yeah.
And never till right now realized it was your engine.
Yeah.
Until talking about Highland Park and the pieces of the puzzle put together.
Super cool bike, but all my buddies were on the 350 SX, whatever, the 2-strokes. Is that what they were around that time?
300s.
300.
Would have been 2-strokes. Yeah.
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 Amazing bikes.
Yep.
And I was on this big, huge Millennium Falcon ass 4-stroke. That was perfect going up a hill, right? Because you just
Yeah.
But
It's like
dude,
a tank.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh my God, I can't believe I put all that shit together.
yeah, but yeah, like dirt bikes are tough, man.
Dirt bikes are tough.
Yeah. Like,
you need to
what-
be a
and
real
you don't-
man.
you
gotta
don't
be a real
remember
man
this,
to race one. to
But
ride
you
one.
gave me the best advice about dirt bikes ever when we were talking about it. You were talking about when you are starting to teach somebody,
Go on.
you
Tell me. about it.
you put a bungee cord from their helmet to the bars. Is that right?
Yes. I would do that.
Because coming from street bikes, right,
Yeah.
and road racing especially, I always want to be down in the bike.
Yeah.
And when I got
You
tired,
need your head over the front of the number plate.
and when I got tired on the bike, I would start like
I totally.
leaning,
Yeah,
and then on that KTM, like every time that I racked myself was because doing shit like
Because
that.
you were doing this.
Well, because you get a little tired, right? And you
Yeah,
stop
yeah.
focusing. And you go instead of like you go like that, and then picking.
So yes, that is
leaves out of
something I
your
would do.
teeth.
I would, if I was teaching people, there's two things I would do if they wouldn't fucking listen to me: remove their seat to make them stand
That's
up,
a good one.
or I'd bungee tie their head to their helmet strap and put them on a turn track because you don't want people jumping with their head bungee strapped to
No,
that.
no.
And I would tell them like second gear only, don't shift, just
Fair.
do this.
Yeah.
And because I did it, and after 5 times of this, you're like, I'm gonna keep my head up, and it's just like because negative reinforcement is a better way to remember shit. So
I mean, I don't know about that, but yeah, I think it's a valid technique, but I don't know about negative reinforcement.
Negative reinforcement works better than positive reinforcement, I think. Look, you might be a scholar and a gentleman. I'm gonna take that last part back.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna stick with that because
telling
that's
you-
how you raise my kid. Okay, so I'm sticking with that.
Yeah, but how?
He could be a man by 7. He's got 2 more years, or he's out. But
Well, there needs to be one man in the house. But yeah, keep going.
well, so far it's Megan.
Wow. Wow.
All right, so when you were like, "There's something you told me," there's one thing you told me, and I didn't really believe it until leaving Roebling Road. And you said one time, it was in passing, I think, to I don't remember who, where you said, "Yeah, it sucks when you go to leave your track day and make your first left-hand turn. What happens?
Oh, you throw your elbow and your knee out in the car.
You throw your head into the windshield."
Yeah, like the on ramp to get on 75 North, leaving Jennings. So many times, it's the end of the weekend, and you're feeling so great. Hopefully, you haven't wrecked a bike or whatever.
Yeah.
But you're driving on those country roads, and you survive whatever, and you get to the interstate, and you get there, and you go, boom, and you do it. You're just like, oh, I'm an idiot. Yeah.
I remember leaving Roebling Road, hearing that, and being like, what the fuck are these dudes talking about? There's no way I'm that stupid to do that. And literally the first thump, and I was like, oh my God, I did it.
Yeah. That was the year we were leaving, and I want to say it was Adam that drove his car down because Pete brought all the bikes down. And we're sitting there, and he had his little
Great Panda.
yeah, he had his little coupe there, and he goes, I think they get mad when I was leaving, I made a wrong turn and then made like 9 more wrong turns. I was like, man, that's the funniest thing you will ever say in your whole life. That's awesome. I wish I had thought of that. And I always wish I had the nuts to do something like that, like leaving Talladega. There were a couple of times that I drove my car over, and like somebody else was hauling bikes. I've been like, dude, I just want to rip one hard lap around this thing in the car, and then just dip out.
Do like you did for Opie's thing? Just turn right.
Just go. And if you get banned for life, it's probably almost worth it.
Almost worth it. Yeah. So, I remember Huey saying like how pissed off the Roebling Road people would, like how serious they are.
Yep.
Like, because somebody wrote like, it's like, what are you here for or whatever?
And I wrote
like,
Big Daddy.
and somebody wrote stunter, and then the owners came and bitched him out for people doing
Not
that.
even the owners, but like whatever dirt shit whatever gentleman they hired to run the gate
don't
that
talk
day.
shit.
Right. I'm sure he's a wonderful dude. He and I had several run-ins over the years over dumb things, but that's where he lived and worked every day. I'm just some dude, so whatever. But yeah, so we got there and we raced at Jennings that weekend, and then we were going to do the track day on Monday.
Yep.
Right. So we had a great weekend at Jennings. I got my first podium and did well. Like everybody's in a great mood. Right. And so we get there and we're all laughing and cutting up or whatever. And they throw the sign-in sheet. And he was like, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, Ed Eberhart, Big Daddy. And then kept going. Somebody else wrote Stunner. Somebody else wrote something else funny.
I can't remember the other things that were said, but
But
yeah,
it was
there
like very mild. Like,
yeah,
things
like honestly, you had to really look at it because if there's somebody behind me in the car or behind me, like the next
In the
vehicle,
line, yeah.
I'll put some stupid shit next to them, like for what their status is going
Yeah.
to be. So by the time they get done filling in their things, they're like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
nobody really cares
So,
that much about it.
the dude came over and he starts like full on yelling about it. And he was like, "Hey, I understand you're upset, but I'm the guy that's about to write you a several $1,000
Yeah.
check. So, like, we apologize if we offended you. We'll fix it." But
Well, I
like,
remember
this
that
is
a little
not
bit different, where he was like, I felt like at first he was like, no, well, that guy's a stunt rider, so he's a stunter. So like him
Oh, he
trying
tried to explain
yeah, he
it.
tried to sell him on it,
And the guy just kept like kept going. And yeah, it was just dumb.
yeah, I forgot about that until literally right now.
Yeah. My dad has this great story he tells about they were doing survival school in the Air Force or something. And he's like, yeah, we were out there for like a week. And my buddy Ellis or whatever his name was, like just kept cracking jokes, kept cracking jokes. And sooner or later we had to whip his ass because we were just tired of it. So, buddy, just don't ever be the funniest guy. Just don't do it. Just do not. Don't feel like you got to do that because you get your ass whipped. And I've never listened to that. I've
The
never.
one advice your dad really tried to instill in you, and you're like, no, not me.
Jim is an amazing man. And sometimes I think he's just like, man, I don't understand.
Where did I go wrong?
Yeah.
Dude, I feel the same way with my dad.
Yeah. Remember talking to your dad at Barber that year, and we were having like an adult, like reasonable conversation about something. And I was just like, wow, man must have a really kind heart. He must be the most patient man walking the face of the earth. Because like I was talking to him, and then 20 minutes later, I was sending you out with your shirt on or whatever, and we tied it up like a Daisy Duke bra or whatever.
No, that would have been Road A.
That was Road A.
Yeah,
But like
yeah.
we were doing something because I was in the pits for you and Megan. So maybe the time after Road A.
I don't know, but yeah, I could.
Like it was like Road A was your first weekend and Barber was your second weekend. Is that right?
I don't know. It's fucking
Whatever.
long
A
time
million
ago.
years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
We've got. We're not even halfway through your list that you sent me, but
I don't want to. I'm always afraid that on these things that
I
like
told
we're not
you
having
it's
such
not.
day. So
It's
yeah.
not going to go long. So I do need to take a piss. You probably do too.
Yeah.
I've luckily for you, I've prepared. There's tweezers in there for you to use. So why don't we pay some of these bills and we'll go take a quick piss break. In fact, you know what? I'm going to play a tech tip.
Okay.
I'm going to start with that.
I need
Usually I
some tech
start.
tips.
Yeah, you definitely need them. Do you even ride anymore?
Every now and again.
Usually this thing's over here.
Yeah.
It's back so I can see.
Do you need some help with that? Like, are there
No.
big words you need to sound them out? What is going on?
No, because I pre-recorded, so I don't have to read. All right, we're gonna be right back for you, folks.
Now it's time for some awesome tech tips.
Transform your comfort with Innovative Mechanical LLC, specializing in HVAC service for residential and commercial properties. They provide expert installation, maintenance, and repair. Their certified technicians ensure top-notch service, whether it's air conditioning, heating systems, or indoor air quality solutions. Serving Georgia since 1999, they prioritize customer satisfaction, prompt, reliable service at competitive rates. Routine maintenance to emergency repairs. Trust Innovative Mechanical LLC for all your HVAC needs. Give them a call at 770-726-7407 or visit innovativemechanical.llc.com to schedule service and unparalleled comfort today.
Here's a tech tip for you. As I just finished rebuilding this engine from the dude that went swimming. I don't know if I did something on it or not. His steering stem bearings are totally effed. So my tip is going to be get the damn right tool to get it out, because I don't have it and it sucks. It takes like what would be maybe a 20-minute job and turns it into like an hour. And then also, if you don't have the press to get it out, you can always just grind. Yeah. You can kind of take a grind and add a dent. Cut that thing off carefully. As it gets close, take a punch it out, separate it, slides right off. So that's if you don't have a what's the word? Press. There's tech tip. A few other tech tips about doing this job. This is all you have to use. Make a fresh grind with a grinder. Get that thing as smooth as you can. Get it where there's no boogers on it from previous hits, because it'll catch the lip of those things better. Also, I like to use brass hammer while starting the new races going in. And then once you get it past that point, you take the old race and put it on there and just tap. And when you're tapping, you're just going back, forth, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. Sometimes you need to go, well, you got to hold it. You go back, forth like that while you're holding it. Hopefully that was on.
Our next segment is brought to you by Hard Knocks Racing. They're a group of dedicated motorcycle enthusiasts since 1998. They're your go-to for Campfire Moto official gear, soon launch an apparel line of their own. They excel in crafting all kinds of custom decals, like this badass sign behind me, from custom signs to full bus wraps and office customization. In fact, check out this work Anthony did at one of the well-known Japanese manufacturer's office who will remain nameless. They also crafted awards for prestigious events such as the Perry Mountain 24-hour race, Mill Creek Spring Classic, Deka Hair Scramble Series, and many more for local racetracks in the Southeast. Check out hardknocksracing.com or give Anthony D'Amico a call at 404-717-480.
Yeah.
All right, and we're back. So, you found the tweezers okay? Were they good? Were they warm? I
Well,
put them in a little warmer thing
I
for you.
mean, not to give too much inside baseball for the people at home, but like, I couldn't find the tweezers, but you were there to help me. So I didn't, hurt myself. It's always good to have a spotter. Anyway, what were we talking about?
What we're going to do next. So, do we want to touch on some more Kurt Kessler things and pay that man some homage? Homage?
So
what's the
let's
proper
see.
way to say that?
We talked about Kurt a good bit. One of the things I said about Kurt is that like any success I had as a control rider, novice coach, a teacher on the bike is because of Kurt. And like I had been a professional educator at this point in my life. Like, so I know how to teach, but like there's something about the way he approached teaching people on the bikes was just so good, and he was my favorite person to teach the novice class with. The novice class is always great anyway, right? Because you have most people there who are genuinely there to like learn and experience this thing and get better. And that first track day is when you make the big jumps,
Yeah.
right? And there's always a couple of special students, right? And those are just as fun in a different way. And one of the things that Kurt and I would do is that some guy would be upset that he had to be in the novice class. He had to do lead follows for a while.
Oh, okay.
And so later in the day, when we'd kind of like set him loose a little bit, we'd find that guy, and Kurt and I would go out on our, 29 horsepower 250s and just do work. Just flat out do work out there. And honestly, it's probably some of the most mean-spirited stuff I've ever done on a racetrack. To find somebody who thought they were
the shit
somehow above
take them down 70
the other
pegs.
students, and you're like this is what's about to happen. One year, Mike Daniels and I were at Jennings, and it was like in February, right? So it was before the season started, and I was about to paint my bike for the season. So it was all like.
Oh, is that the
sanded-
green and
Yeah, before
green
I
and
painted
gold,
it green,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And this was back when so it was sanded down. It had like it looked terrible. And Mike came by and he's like, "Hey, let's go to Jennings this weekend." I was like, "Mike, I can't. Like, I look at the bike. He's like, "I don't care. Let's go." And Huey or John Wisconsin or somebody walked by and he's like, "Well, that thing belongs in a junkyard."
Yeah.
And so we printed out like big pictures of Fred Sanford and put those where the number plates would be on the 250 and went to do this track day at Jennings. And went out there and they were like, "Oh, you're on a 250, so you have to be a novice." I was like, I don't know if I do, but okay, that's the rules and that's fine. So we go out there and I do the lead follows or whatever. And after that, just start making my way through the field. we're leaving, like we're coming off the second session, and we're coming off the track, and this guy on an R1 pulls up beside me. He's like, dude, I can't believe how fast that thing was. Like, what is that? And I was like, oh, it's a 250. He's like, oh, like a GP 250 bike. And I was like, no, dude, it's a Ninja 250. And he just put his helmet down and fucked off. But yeah, just that wasn't even like mean spirited, but yeah, like we would find guys who were riding like jerks or talking noise or just generally being
Chirping.
yeah, just not being great members of the track day community. Be like, all right, well, this is what fast looks like when somebody's trying. So yeah. And that eventually evolved to what we called the 250 grudge match, where
Okay, yeah, I remember hearing a little bit about this, but
yeah, we would do it at the Marmo track days a lot.
Yes.
Where we
Which
would
was so fun because it was always on a Monday.
Mhm.
So people that were going were either really like they were taking off work to learn,
Mhm.
or they were going to fuck off like we were.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun with
yeah, and it was like
people
it
we
was
got to hang out with.
it was the regular crowd too, right? So there was always
Yes.
some. Very rarely was it somebody new, and when they were new, it's like they had been brought in by somebody you did know, right? So it's
Yeah.
always good.
It's like- it was almost too clicky in a way,
Yeah.
but not too much.
Yeah. Well, as long
Yeah.
as you're on the inside, it's great, right? It's
Yeah.
like every click. If you're on the inside of it, fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's hard to get in if you're not. So we always, for like, somebody always had a 250, right? I always had mine. There's always somebody else one. And at some point during the week, we would start yapping at each other. And John and I did it the most. Because John is legitimately a fast guy.
Yeah.
And-
Wisconsin.
Yes. Like, fast dude.
Which I could never figure out if I was to call him Wisconsin or Wisconsin. I
It's
don't know.
Wisconsin.
I don't know. I don't know. I still don't know.
But
I don't- even though you said it's that way. I don't know.
he and I would start like yapping at each other, and I was like, "All right, cool. All right. So we're going to check on Monday. We'll saw it on Monday." And the most aggressive, hardest racing I've ever done in my life is the last session of a track day when nobody else is on the track, and it's me and John Wisconsin on dirt shit 250s. Like fully doing, supercross block passes. Like getting my elbow and knee out on the opposite side to like make sure
Shove
John
somebody
can't
out of
turn
the way.
in.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the dirtiest stuff that if anybody else had done it, it'd have been a fist fight. But because it was John and me, it was just nothing but schoolgirl giggles. Like, like we were coming through the carousel one time, and I was, and he came on the outside just a little bit, and he started trying to slap my kill switch. I was like, that's hilarious, but I'll kill you. But yeah, like stuff like that, picking on assholes. And so working with Kurt, though, I figured out that like there are guys who are legitimately fast, right?
Yeah.
But most of the time, those guys aren't great teachers because they can't tell you how to go from being slow to being fast because they're just fast.
Yeah.
It's just in them somehow.
Yeah, which is why you were so good at it.
Right,
Those
because
who can't do,
yeah, I sucked ass.
teach.
Yeah. But we were talking about negative and positive reinforcement earlier. Positive reinforcement shines on a racetrack. When you find somebody doing something the right way, they're good and they're doing well, and you reinforce it, you're good. Like my favorite thing to do was to have somebody who was really struggling, right? And be like, look, follow me this next time out. We'll go out last and just follow me. And every time I'll be like, okay, I'm going to exaggerate turning in. I'm going to point where the apex is. And I'm going to exaggerate getting back on the gas. And you're going to be able to see it, right?
Yeah, like literally just doing things you would
big
not,
elbow, like drag racer elbow, right? And what I would do is every time I go through a turn, it's easy at tally because it's almost all lefts.
Yeah.
You look and you give them the fist pump, like, yes, perfect, yes, thumbs up, yeah. And you watch their body language just get better and better and more comfortable as they start believing in themselves, right? and it's the best feeling. And I I think, and it's easy to say now that I've been away for so long, but I think that I had more fun and was more fulfilled by coaching and teaching at the track
Than actually racing.
than racing.
Yeah.
I
could
think
see
that. I
that.
think that.
Because there was a while where I was giving lessons for things, and yeah, like the little wins,
Yeah.
you know. And it gets weird with B because
It's got to be tough.
yes and no. I don't know. It's weird to say it with it being your kid
hmm
with those things, but the wins are equally as awesome. But the biggest thing with him, it's like being a
Well, he's a kid, right? And so like
yeah, but there's some kids where they're just no
not
brains.
they're
and all
not smart
this.
enough to be.
He's the
Yeah,
other way. He's
yeah.
more brains. Unfortunately, he got that
From
not
mine.
yeah,
He-
not from
clearly. Yeah, yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Um,
where it's like, don't think about that. No, honestly, I was the same way. Like I was more calculated with what I would do versus the risk.
yeah. Well, that
But at a certain point, after things dropped,
Yeah.
when I was 20, that I was trying to beat you to the punchline. Sorry.
that's fine.
Where you can turn that off.
Yeah.
But
Well,
at that
that's
age,
when I was the crew chief team principal at when Ryan was doing Moto America. That was Ryan Dickerson.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
that was the thing that I boiled everything down to. When it came, like let's be strategic and calculating and thoughtful about what we're doing until it's time to pull the plug, right? And it's always like when I sent him off when he was leaving the grid, I'd be like, "Hey, be smart till it's time to be stupid," right? That's all you got to do. And Brian, true to form, would not do that. He would go out and I think at Road Atlanta that year, he got all pumped up coming out of 10B, spun up the rear, and did every part of a high side except like coming off the bike
Yeah.
and smashed the screen with his helmet. And he
So probably like feet, like literally did everything. But
he was
fly off the
in
bike.
the air.
Yeah.
Like Lee Fields came by later and he was like, "I don't know how you're still walking." But yeah, but like I think that's part of it, right?
Yeah.
And there've been a handful of times on racing where I've been like, "All right, I'm gonna do this, and whatever happens, happens."
Yeah.
And every time that I've done that, later on I've been like, "That's dumb shit," and I never need to do that again. And when I like my last season racing, when I looked up and I was racing against people, like most of them were about pretty close to half my age, and most of them didn't have to get up and
Go to
go
work, the
to
next
work
day.
on Monday.
Yeah.
So, what's crazy about sports or any kind of competition is that you don't get hurt when you're trying really hard. When you're out there and you're really on it, you don't get hurt
Yeah.
because you're just doing what you do. But when you start trying to like find easy ways to do things or like pull out a little bit to be careful, most of the time it's like because you're trying to be careful, right? That's when you mess up. So I was coaching a track day at Road Atlanta in 2022, I think. No, 21. And it was early in the year. We sat on hot pit forever, and it was not hot pit, it was cold pit because it was February. So we cruised out. I was on the 899 and went down the hill to 10A and went in every bit of like 35, 40 miles an hour. And the tire was cold, the track
Yep.
was cold. I lost it. And normally when you crash there, you're going fast enough, you slide out into the gravel.
Yep.
And you go, "Oh, that sucked." But I was going so slow that the bike slid out, but the leather caught on the pavement. And I rolled and I slapped the ground.
Ooh.
And
Yeah. pavement slapping.
And I was
you hit
like,
it- think
that
about
sucks.
Mike. Actually, B is tries to hurt you high fiving at this point, right?
Yeah, because he's a kid. That's what they do.
He's a dickhead. I don't know where he gets it
Wow.
from. Yeah. But yeah, same thing. Like you high five somebody the right way, you be like, oh,
Yeah.
dude, you slap asphalt the right.
Yeah, so I did that, and I was like, oh, that sucks. But I got up and turned the bike off because you always do the bike first, right? And then I was like, what just happened? And I was like looking for whatever, and then the truck came and got me, and I was like, shit. I don't have like any spare bars or anything, so I think I'm done. I loaded the bike up into the van, and my thumb started swelling up, and I was like, that sucks. I think I jammed it. I think I just jammed my thumb. That sucks.
Did you just like you did with your wrist?
I legitimately was like what part is jammed? What is doing this? And I called the wife, and I was like, hey, I crashed. I'm gonna come home. And you forget that. Like I forgot, like Misty, we had been on like 2 or 3 dates, but like her first time like hanging out with me at the track was at Road A, and the engine blew up on the back straight, and it was just a tough day, right? But I forget that like she knows me, but she doesn't know like that part of my life, right?
Yeah.
And then when you ride bikes, you just crash sometimes. Sometimes you just crash. And like you're a little hurt, but then you just whatever, you got stuff to do. And so I started heading home. The van broke down, and so Pete Grapondo had to come get a trailer to put my Transit on. And I'm riding in the back of his truck, and like my thumb is just getting jacked up. It's getting darker and blacker. I was like, I really did a number on this. This sucks. And so we get home, get everything unloaded. I'm talking to her what's going on. She's like, well, what did you do? And I was like, oh, I just slapped the asphalt. I think I jammed the thumb. I think I just bruised something. It's stiff, but like it's fine. That was Saturday, right? And on Thursday, I've been like not complaining about it, but like been favoring a little bit and still like playing Xbox and shit because
Switch hitting probably.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. And she goes, I would feel better if you just went to get X-rays. And I was like, okay, that's fair. I'll go. So I went down to the urgent care, and they were like, oh, yeah, I chipped a bone there. So it just looks bad. Just go see a specialist in like 2 weeks, make sure everything's healing all right.
You don't ever go to urgent care or the ER for those things. You just go to the specialist. Just make a point for the specialist.
It's the first time that I'd like been like hurt on the bike.
What year?
Yeah, this was in 2021. I crashed plenty, but like I'd never been like
trying hard enough. I'm just gonna
clearly
say that.
So I go to the specialist, and the guy comes back, and he's so pissed off, and he's like, "Why did you wait so long to come here?" And I was like, "Well, the urgent care said 2 weeks." He's like, well, "What are you doing Friday?" And I was like, "I don't think I have anything planned." He's like, "I got to put this thumb back together."
Oh shit!
So I had one tendon holding this thing together. Both these joints were just powder, like just pulverized. So they put a pin in from there to there. So I was left-handed for 9 months. It was all because...
Are you normally left-handed?
No, right-handed.
Oh, okay.
But it was because I was just cruising. I wasn't trying hard, right?
So if you would have actually been hauling ass and trying, it probably would have either...
No, if I had put any heat into that front tire, right, it would have stuck.
So the moral of the story is...
If you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly, right? If you're going on the track, then go on the track. But yeah, like that's the things I started thinking about. Like I would go we always call it at Road Atlantis, the Who's Wild contest, right? You're racing, you go down the hill on the back straight to 10A. And you have plenty of time to work up your nerve. Be like, I'm going to stick it in there.
Yeah. At what point am I going to break?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Well, after they do. That's what I'm going to break.
Yeah.
So we're going to say Who's Wild. There were many times when James and Lisa and her husband, who also raced with us at the time, 3 of the 4 of us would go into 10A, and like we would have to like every lap somebody would have to figure out who's wild, right? But like you just do that and you do that, but you don't get hurt at those times.
Yeah.
When you get hurt is when,
You're not trying.
yeah, or when you say, that's a 17-year-old kid. And if I pass
I'm in
him,
my late 20s.
can I pass him without scaring him or me right here? And if I can't, then I'm probably okay with second place, right? You start making those decisions, you start doing that
Yeah.
calculus, that's when you get hurt. So I was like, I gotta quit doing this.
So one thing I actually remember, I'm pretty sure it was you that told me this, and I didn't quite understand it until I was in that situation where I was nose wheeling off the track at Barber,
Mhm.
which was, don't let yourself get caught up. Do you remember saying this or telling me this?
Keep going.
Don't let yourself get caught up in a stupid race.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, where you're racing somebody, but you make a stupid decision off of it. And I was
Yeah.
like, I feel like you told me that at Road A. And at Barber, as I'm nose wheeling off the track, I went, that's what he meant.
Yeah, because it was your novice weekend. And I was like, look, the only way you can mess this up is by crashing.
Yeah.
As long as you finish the race, we're going to achieve our goal here.
Yeah.
So don't get caught up in a stupid race, especially like it's easy in WERA because you race experts and novices at the same time.
Yep.
Right. And you can be a novice and find yourself racing a really slow expert and pushing and risking for no reason. Right. But yeah, the ability to think strategically and thoughtfully about stuff like that while you're going, 10/10 or 9/10
Yeah.
is something that racing gave me that I find invaluable in
Which-
day-to-day life.
Which is funny because at that point, I was already at like a A-level motocross.
Yeah, like you're
So when you
legitimately
said
fast.
that, I was like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I was too dumb to be like, what do you mean by this?
Yeah.
Like, elaborate, you know? And it was just so funny when I was like, that's what he
Yeah.
meant. So that's probably something I never ever told you.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, but-
I wouldn't admit to it either.
Yeah, because I'm not going to tell you, like,
Yeah.
hey, you had a good point, right?
So you were much more accomplished and successful at racing in your area than I was in mine.
Iffy.
I think you were. I think you are head and shoulders a better dirt rider than I am a road racer.
I'm going to take it. You
Yeah,
know what?
I-
Yeah,
I
I'm going to
believe
take
it.
it.
I
Yeah,
be-
yeah,
I
I'm gonna
believe
take
it.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it.
What, like every day, there are things about racing bikes that echo in my everyday life, right?
Yep.
And the thing I always think about is managing my panic response, right? So if the wife and I are driving and somebody does something crazy, I just react to it, right? And then like later I may be like, oh shit, that sucked. But like in the moment I'm just like, it's fine. Like we were going somewhere, we were on the 75-85 connector. This rat shit E46 BMW M3 passes us and like three people and like bang, 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 and I saw the hood come up and then fly up and I was like, oh, okay. And I just kind of like switched 2 lanes and then it went and it hit this minivan that was in front of us and like safety glass exploded or whatever. And Misty was like, and I just kept driving and then I was like, man, that sucked, man. That was crazy. She goes, how are you so calm about that? It's like, it's the same thing as I always think about at Barber when you go through the second chicane, the one that G's out and you go up the hill.
Yep.
Have you ever looked to the left right there?
Before going into Charlotte's?
No, this is way after Charlotte's. This is, the second chicane, right? And you go over the kind of bridge.
Oh,
over the
like
tunnel,
towards the end of the
toward the
track.
end?
Okay.
before like the
The
triple
bridge.
right hander.
You're going over the bridge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you looked to the left there? Because there's on the straightaway part, there's a wall that's pretty close. And the reason I know that is because one year at the GNFs, the track dryer or whatever big machinery they had, like blew off a coolant line and left coolant all over the track.
Ooh.
And they put oil dry down, right? Everywhere. And so I came through on my little bike and there was just a big clump of oil dry. And I hit it. And I was like, oh, that sucked. And I just kind of stood it up a little bit and just rode off. I was going pretty quick. And I feel like I was this close to the wall. Like I could have like pushed off of it.
Just rubbed it.
Yeah.
Like
And I was
push
like,
yourself back on the track.
And I came back and I put the bike on stands and I think James and his dad were there. And I was like, yeah, that sucked, dude. And I got off the bike and I thought that could have been really bad.
Really?
That could have been really bad. And it like knocked the cool out of my walk for a few minutes.
Yeah.
But like that's what I think about every day. Like that panic response and my confidence in myself is almost unshakable because like nothing at work is ever going to be harder than convincing yourself to hold the throttle wide open until the one board at Roebling, right? Yeah, like a 3/4 of a mile long front straight.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, I know I'm on this S1000RR, right? Hold it. Just stay in it. Just
Yeah.
stay in it. You can do this. Just stay in it. I swear, you can do it. Like that is harder than any decision I'll make at work.
Dude, there's so many times in my life where I've been in a situation where somebody's gone, how are you dealing with this so well? And I'm like,
I've done a triple.
I've been in way worse situations, or I've been in so much shit where I laugh about it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
Not that big a deal.
Like, and what almost sucks about it now is that when I was at the track and when I crashed late in my career, I knew I was going to crash, and I knew what was happening.
You knew it was.
The first
you could
crash,
just see
it
the
just,
writing
it
on
just
the wall.
happens. It just like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm in the dirt. Oh. But like the third or fourth one, you go, there goes the rear. So I can, well,
Nope, shit, nope. I thought I could do this, but
here
I
we
couldn't.
go. And then
Do you remember Huey talking about going to Isle of Man and talking about the people watching the racers?
no.
So Huey was explaining it to where the people spectating were a good indication when you were going to crash, because they would be running out of the way.
Oh, shit.
You don't remember him talking about this? He had that cool like presentation that he did at Highlands or wherever.
Yeah.
Not Highland Park, but Highlands.
Yeah, the restaurant we did. Yeah,
we
yeah.
used to go to. And it was literally like, if you felt something and you saw people running, you're going down.
Yep.
Because they know you're going down before you know you're going down.
Yeah,
kind of
because you
thing.
can't see the shape you're making on the bike.
Yeah.
You're just reacting, right? Yeah, and that's why like you could always see what's about to happen. Like I said, we did that 7-hour kart endurance, and it's me, Dickerson, Patrick Jernigan, and Nick Rogers, all three road racers, right? And we were on the team together. And first of all, it was just great to be at the track with the boys, right?
Yeah. Which, I mean, I didn't get a call. I didn't get a text.
Well, I was gonna. There's
it's fine.
another one
No, okay.
in near the end of this month, and you're on the list of alternates.
What weekend is that?
The 26th.
Oh, I'm busy. Fuck you.
Yeah, good.
No.
Good, because you're probably slow
Actually-
anyway. But
Actually, I don't know.
we would go out there and do the same thing with Ryan. Or I'd be like, look,
I actually can't do that one.
all right. Well,
For
that's fine.
real. I can't do that
I
one.
was like, let's go out there and it's an endurance race. Let's be smart until it's about time to be stupid. You know when somebody is gonna give you mess up and give you a chance to get by them.
Yep.
So like we got plenty of time. There's no reason to rush anything. Just watch. And like we could see the guys that were a little out of shape at the weird moments because they were uncomfortable, because they were not confident, because whatever, they had a slow cart, whatever it was, right? And it's all from going through it. And we've all been there, right? We know what it feels and looks like when you're gonna have the opportunity.
Yeah.
So
Because we've been all through that stupid shit that you have to learn just by racing. So, honestly, looking at some of the stuff that you talked about already, it'll be tough to figure out what you've talked on, what you haven't. Chasing and sliding out of T1.
Oh, so yeah,
that looks like a fun one.
so Jennings used to do the 250 endurance race, right?
Okay.
And we would go down there. Usually be cold, like late in the year. I want to say like around Thanksgiving, they would do it. And the second or third year on Saturday, you would run the normal direction, right? And on the Sunday, you would run the opposite direction. So instead of pit out at turn 1, that's pit in. Turn 1 at Jennings is fast, right? And it's especially fast coming the other direction. So Anne is one of the racers that I trust implicitly. She was always great fun to be around because I knew that she was smart on the bike, knew she was capable, and I knew she was never going to do anything out of panic or being dirty.
Yeah.
Right? So we went back and forth for, I would say, like 20, 25 minutes. Just like, okay, I got you here. I'm going to do this.
Was that when she was like SV?
She was racing the R6 then.
Oh, okay.
But she was just doing this. And I was like, I'm faster than her going through this turn. So I'm just going to stay on the outside. I'm just going to rail all the way around. But after like 30 minutes of being pretty quick, and I was the second person to ride, front tire was going. And so I'd feel it like pop a little bit on a normal lap. And so a smart person would be like, hey, if it's doing this on a normal lap, maybe let's not push it on like a dumb move. I was like, no, this is the best chance I got to do this, right? So I go and I go, and it's hopping. I'm like, it's fine. I'm looking down the front straight. That's where I'm going to go because that's the way it works. And it just kept going. And I was like, well, I guess I'm pitting in, right? And it's hot pit, so it's endurance, so there's no speed limit or anything. Bro, I went in and I grabbed 2 downshifts just to slow down a little bit. But true to what you were just saying about people reacting, people just parted, and guys were like pinning themselves up against the wall. I'm like, man, I came back out, and I was like, that I should have just crashed because there's no way that should have worked. There's no way I'm that lucky. But so like that, those endurance races were fun, man. On track with some seriously fast guys like
Dude, I'm just gonna say it. Did my wife leave the door open? There's a lot of
some bugs in here.
Weird bugs going on.
I mean, I seriously doubt it's Meg's fault. I remember there's a window open.
I don't know, maybe cross your legs a little bit better. But
yeah,
there's
probably it.
Yeah.
So those endurance races were fun because there were some just great people and fast dudes. Like we were. The first year we did it, Chris Parrish was like a...
Oh, that was my next thing I was going to hit on. Go on.
Yeah, so Chris Parrish, Moto America Twins champion, Chris Parrish. Fast dude, so funny, a great kid. He passed me so fast going into turn 3 at Jennings that I screamed into my helmet. And I was embarrassed for like 10 minutes in the helmet. I was like, what's wrong with you? I can't believe you just scream like that. So that in that same race, a few laps later, Stephen LaFoon, another incredibly fast dude, right? I'm coming up on this rider. I'm like, just picking my way through traffic, and I see this guy ahead of me. And I start catching him. I'm like, all right, cool. This next guy, I'm gonna follow him for a half lap, and then I'll know where to pass him. And like, I mean, he's just real smooth and real good, except on the back straight. You know, we got a little motor on him. I was like, cool. I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna draft up to him, and I'm just gonna go, and then he can look at my narrow ass as long as he wants, because I'm out. And I look over, and I see these bright yellow boots, and I look up, and I was like, I know those boots. I know those. It's LaFoon. And LaFoon at the time was like Darth Vader. Like he was just like a fast dude that had passed me so many times and put me like kicked my junk in the dirt so many times on the racetrack. And so I look over and I was like, oh shit. Well, I got to make these next 2 or 3 laps something. I just got to keep pushing because there's no way that this is going to happen. Like, because he's not going to, he's a great guy. He was never dirty or anything, but he was just fast.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know how I'm passing him, but like, I got to make sure that I keep up this pace because I don't want to deal with what happens when he comes around me. So yeah, but it's a shame that they stopped doing those. Because like it seemed like there was always a pretty good turnout.
Yeah.
And the racing was always good. Not any more incidents than a track day. They did a 2-hour one year, and Pete Grapondo and I did it on 1 tank of gas.
What?
We filled the tank up, like packed it down to the filler, and I went out and did the warm up lap.
Hold on. How do you pack down a tank?
Like we put so much gas in that tank that we had to like slowly close the cap.
Okay.
Right. That's how we packed it.
Yeah.
And I went out there and just like did most of the warm up lap in 6th gear, just like putting around. And went out there, and when we got back, like the chain was drooping 3 inches. Stick Boy said the tires didn't have enough tread on them to hold air. And like Pete said, when he was coming in, it started cutting out on the cool down lap. We finished like 4th, I think. But we were like, let's see if we can do it on 1 tank of gas. And Pete was a fantastic teammate for that stuff. Because he's so unflappable, right? Like you hand him anything, he's like, all right, man, I'll just go out there and go fast. It's fine. I don't care. So we were going 1 year, and we did not put a new front on for the 2nd race.
Seems like the worst idea.
Well, it still looked good, right? It still looked good. It was like a cooler day. It was a fresh tire or whatever.
The front tire gives you a lot of traction, bro.
Yeah.
Just saying that.
In hindsight, you're absolutely right. So I start like feeling it, like not just push, but like fall. Like, we were running like 4th or 5th or whatever, like pretty competitive. And I come in, and Pete's like, "Do we need a tire? What do you think?" And I was like, "No, dude, it feels great. Just go, just go. You're good." And he goes out there and he's running, within a 10th or so of what I was
like
doing.
The most asshole friend maneuver to do to somebody.
Yeah. He had done something to me before that he earned it. I forgot what it was, but he comes in and he goes, yeah, it turns out that tire wasn't fine. Turns out it wasn't fine. And he goes, but I made it work, so it's fine. It's okay. I don't care. Endurance racing is so much fun because you have so much time to sit around with your buddies and say dumb things while somebody else is on track.
What? You enjoyed doing that? Do you want to actually know a really funny story about Pete and Megan before Marmo and realizing who he is?
Yep.
Okay. Remember her having the WRX?
No.
All right. So she bought an 09 WRX, 2010-ish, also about the same year that started working at Marmo, her and I started dating or whatever.
Yeah.
So she told me at one point about this guy who followed her home and was like pulled into her house. Remember the old house? Because when you pulled in, you were like, "Oh shit, this house! I only been to the old house." So this random guy gets out of his car after she pulls into her driveway and goes, "Hey, that car belonged to my old roommate. I still have the original WRX, the Subaru, the blah, 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 on the kitchen or on the fridge in my garage. So if you want them, I have them." And she's just like, "No, I'm good."
Yeah. Was Kevin Silva's car?
I don't know.
Yeah.
So cut to months later, I'm working at Marmo now. I've become friends with Peter. Megan's become friends with Pete. I feel weird saying Pete. right?
Yeah.
Pete.
I call him Sweet
Um,
Pete sometimes. He loves it.
I think this was after Megan and I did a track day, and he watched both of our dogs.
Mhm.
So Zoe and Makita, who have now passed.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and put them in the same category as Goose.
Yeah. Fantastic
Like,
dogs.
oh, dude, all three of them.
Just great
Yeah,
dogs.
Goose was Ed's dog when we met him. Makita and Zoe. So yeah, a lot of history here. So anyways, so Pete's met Megan. He's babysat our dogs while we go into track days, and then Megan pulls into Marmo at the same time that Pete happens to be there with the WRX, and he goes, "Do you remember a guy following you home?" She goes, "Yeah." He goes, "That was me."
Yeah. Hmm.
So
Wow.
and then Pete goes, yeah. I just remember being in Marietta. Think about Marietta to our old Dallas home.
Mhm.
He followed her the whole way
Wow.
back to there, all the way to her house to be like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to be the nice guy.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how creepy that would be to what was Megan, 23-year-old,
Yeah.
24-year-old?
I wouldn't follow
woman?
anybody to Dallas for any reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Oof.
the insanity of figuring out that we had this friend do that,
Yeah.
who's already watched our dogs. You
Yep.
know what I mean? Like putting all those pieces of the puzzle together was like,
Yep.
ooh, this is weird.
But if there is a one person who I would believe was operating completely out of good faith, for stuff like that, it's
Exactly, it was Pete.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Any other scenario, you're gonna end
Yeah.
up on a milk carton or milk carton.
Like most people, when you think about it, act nice but are kind of dicks. And Pete is the exact opposite.
Yeah.
He's very reserved and he's very smarmy, but at heart, one of the best people walking around.
And you know, in a weird way, I haven't talked to him at least in 10 years.
Yeah.
And I feel like I need to just call him right now to be like, dude, how have you been?
Yeah, he's
know?
good. One of the things I was thinking about when we were putting this together, we're coaching track days, and somebody wanted to ride my 250, but I had to keep coaching. And so he was like, I'm going to ride this other bike, take my F4i. And I went out there, and it's like a 50,000 mile F4i. It's just wallered. So
Like your mom.
whoa. And so I'm, out there coaching or whatever, and I break free of a couple of students, and I see Pete up there, and I was like, well, I'm gonna go catch him and pass him on his own bike, because that feels like something I should do to my friend. And he grabs a handful of brake going into the farmhouse and loses the front on whoever's bike this is.
No.
And I was, 7 or 8 yards behind him. And he's on his back, like sliding, and I see him turn and look at me. And I looked at him and I was like, oh man, you're about to get run over by your own bike. This is gonna be a terrible story. And I kind of swerve and miss him, and I keep going. And we come back, and he sits down, he's smoking a cigarette, and he goes, yeah, man, I thought I was gonna get hit by my own bike there. Oh, that'd have been a terrible story.
Oh, Pete, great panda. Yeah.
Again, another one of the just like the fantastic people you meet
Yep.
at the track. And I feel like I'm out of the community as a whole right now, but I hope that there are still people like that.
So what can I do to con you to getting back into the community, sir?
I gotta find. So the writing part has never been a problem.
Okay.
What starts to be a problem is Wednesday or Thursday night, up in the bikes and getting packed up, and then Friday afternoons loading up and
Yeah.
going to the track, and then coming home late Sunday, and then going to work and functioning on Monday. So that's the big issue now, is that especially when we're going to like a far track, like when I was with track day
gonna
winter.
lie.
We
I've been
go.
trying to stall. I gotta pee right now.
Oh, you're still peeing? All right. Run a commercial. It's just me. It's just me. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's a wall here, but I have to imagine that Anthony is going to the restroom and he's sitting down and he's pulling his skirt down and his panties down, and you would be correct in that. Yeah. So that was very fast. Wow. So yeah. So like, when we were like coaching track days at like the Corvette Museum in Kentucky, dude, that's like on a fast day, that's 5.5, 6 hours. And so, like when I was working for myself, mostly it wasn't a big deal. But when, again, you get to a point in life where you got a little responsibility and you have all the resources to do these things, but the time is just not there. So that's the big thing right now, is just time.
Yeah.
And like right now, me and a couple of buddies are really thinking about this kart racing thing, about buying karts and start like doing those.
Because with age,
With age what?
with age becomes the cage.
Oh, I don't even think about that. There's no cage. Go-karts sometimes are less safe than bikes. Although I will say, the first time we went out there, it's like my bachelor weekend, I think, and we spent all day Saturday at the lake, and on Sunday, 8 motorcycle racers and 2 general dudes went and raced go-karts. And I told the 2 like non-racers, I was like, hey, all these guys been laughing and giggling all day yesterday, but when they put on helmets, it's gonna like, it may be jarring to you how aggressive it gets out there. And they're like, oh no, we can drive cars, we're fine. And
And you tried to warn them.
anyway, they went out first practice and then they left. But we had so much fun, right? And like have been out to AMP a couple of times. I did they did a Wednesday night racing series
I didn't know
last
that.
year, and you just it's a arrive and drive. You bring your helmet and your gear, and you show up and race on Wednesday nights.
Huh.
I did that, and then we did the endurance race. We're gonna do another one. It's a lot of fun. And like right now, the best part of it is I don't have to clean or maintain a bike. I don't have to store a bike. I don't have to do anything. I just show up. So we're doing that. I'm going to do a performance driving school in June out around Las Vegas. And so, yeah, I think that maybe next year we're going to do a 24 hours of lemons race. When you get a shitty car
Oh yeah,
and do that. So
Which track is doing that? Is that
they
is that
do. I think they
Road A?
do it at Barber. I think they do it at Road A as well.
Okay. Yeah. I've talked to a few people that have done that.
So yeah, I've been thinking about it.
All right. So we've been doing this a while. I'm going to give you the big list.
Okay. Wow.
What stuff do you want to hit on that we haven't hit on? Because I feel like you do have some really good stories. And where you focus too hard on that, I tried to find the video that you put your GoPro on my ZX6 at Roebling Road, the track day we were talking about,
Mm-hmm.
and it pisses me off so bad that I can't just quickly find it. Like, we didn't tighten it well enough.
Oh,
and
and it's full black. Yeah.
yeah, and you put the what was it? It was like
The honey
not
badger racing.
no, not Cartoon Network. It was the monkey with the thing.
Oh yeah.
it
Technical
was-
difficulties.
Yeah, but what? Adult Swim? Maybe is that what I'm thinking of?
Sounds right, yeah.
The Adult Swim monkey, and you put what song? Do you remember?
I don't remember. We were doing a lot of videos for sponsors.
It
and stuff then.
was Fergalicious.
Oh yeah.
Fer-
That tracks.
What was the name of that song? That's not the one.
I mean,
OUS.
yeah.
Fabulous.
Any Fergie song.
It was the
is probably
fabulous
same
Furby
time,
song. Yeah. So that was pretty funny. But yeah, that was actually like
Yeah, like we had a great niche there for a while,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
figuring out new ways
before
and
YouTube
funny
would
ways
block
to
you to putting
Yeah.
songs with your
Yeah,
videos and stuff like that.
We found ways to like make things interesting for people who weren't necessarily like huge bikes or racing fans, which was fun.
Yeah.
How about that? Yeah, I mean, we've hit a lot of this stuff. The couple of things that I want to like really hit on were the people at the track and around that community are like what
Yeah.
makes all that great. Like I talked about Huey, my buddy James, Ryan and Patty and Nick. Racing with those guys was great. You know, Derek Bennett, Stick Boy, was the tire vendor, and a guy that like it became a running joke. They'd be like, "Hey, so you probably need to change tires," and I'd be like, "No, I got one more race," and then I would come back and I'd be like, "Hey, I finished 4th instead of 2nd because I probably need a new tire," and he'd be like, "I told you." But just a great dude. Yeah, it was just fun, man. It was just good fun times, and I I sometimes feel guilty about it because
Because of how good it made you feel.
well, there was that, but like I I I got so much out of bikes and racing and
Yeah.
track days and stuff. And I feel like I gave back a lot by a lot of the coaching and support and stuff. But I didn't give back a tenth of what I got out of it, right?
Yeah.
So if I ever find my way back, it will be coaching and it will be like working with you know, new racers or new riders, and then, you know, maybe doing some more stuff in the pro paddock, like working with the marketing stuff, which is like my actual job and shit. So,
Yeah,
so
but you don't make a profit with that. So obviously, maybe you go into the other side and then you make a profit.
because there's so much profit in racing, right? Yeah. Get outta
It is
here.
kind of weird how like the error that we got into it, right? Like 2010-ish, a little bit before, the fact that the housing market and all the other weird shit that went along with it.
Yeah.
To where I felt like in a way the people that went through that section were just core.
Yeah.
You know? So nobody cared about or wanted to make money. It was just like, I want
This
to
is
race.
just fun,
Yeah,
right?
this is fun.
And like so much of my life decisions then were, well, will this let me race?
Mm.
Right? Could I have stayed in my kind of corporate job track and been a little further along than I am right now if I'd been more focused on that? Maybe. But there's no way to know. I do know that for those couple of years, like racing was such a part of my life and colored so many of my decisions that I feel like those experiences are worth more than making another 20, 30 grand a year
Yeah.
right now. Right?
Yeah, and like you said, with the people that you met, right?
Mhm.
They taught you things and they made you the person that you are way better than any of those corporate things
Yeah.
would have taught you or made you be.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, I love my non-racing friends. Like they're fantastic people and I'll have them in my heart forever. But there's something way more special about the people that have that peculiar kind of mania that comes with chasing your own ass around a racetrack, right? With like, I want to see how much I can focus and how tightly I can control the margins of where I hit the brakes, where I turn in, where I get on the gas, how much I'm going to let this slide right here to get another tenth out of this racetrack, right?
Mhm.
I'm going to work that hard and that specifically. And if you go to a racetrack and you find people who are working on those things and are that focused and love it that much, it's a special kind of connection versus like, oh, hey, we went to college together.
Yeah.
You
Or
know,
we've been to the same vacation spot or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and not to say that stuff's not important, but you know, like there's just something very, very special about that.
So I know we talked, or I said, like, I don't remember Mike Daniels, but I feel like it was him that said this. I'm hoping you can confirm this. I feel like he was the guy that said if he could close his eyes and run through the race track, like at what speed he could go, like he would set a timer,
Mhm.
close his eyes, set a timer from the start line. And if he was in like a certain percentage of his lap time, he knew he was going to have a good weekend.
That sounds right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know this. I told you I know this
So,
guy, but I don't remember.
Mike,
like
incredibly
something about-
fast, but also one of the funniest cats walking around. So sometimes being funny distracted you from how good Mike was, right? He and Russ Foggin, Fat Bloke, two guys that were my coaches the first couple of track days I did, and just great friends, right? And we would laugh and cut up and screw around, and then Mike would go out and do a hot lap, and you'd be like, Jesus, that's goofy Mike with the ponytail. Like, how is he? But it's very much true, right?
Yeah.
If you are that focused and you know the lap and you can visualize it that cleanly, you see the Formula One guys do that all the time. I've never been able to do it. I'm also dog shit slow, so who knows?
True.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say. I'm glad
You
said
didn't
it,
have to.
so,
I mean,
yeah.
like, all the success I had was because I had great people around me. Always had a great bike, and just devastatingly handsome.
You know, it was funny. One thing you said about the ZX12 thing, right? I remember this literally nothing to do about anything we were talking about, but I remember selling one of the first ZX14s we got in the dealership that I
Yep.
was working at in like 05. And the dude was a state trooper. And the guy walked in, he asked about this bike, set up the deal, sold him the bike,
Mhm.
waited 6 months, the bike came in, sold him the bike. It was his first bike. So when you talked about looking at a ZX12 for your
Some
first
cats
bike,
can do that.
and I was like, oh, that reminds me of this story. That's kind of
Yeah.
what I want this whole show to kind of be about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that reminded me of that situation and how bad my boss, who is close, he's family to me,
Yeah.
chewed my ass out when he found out he crashed that bike in the first week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this dude came in, not knowing anything about anything, but confident enough to tell me that he wanted this bike. And I'm like, oh, this guy must ride. So he knows about bikes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was one story that you said earlier that I was like, oh, so
Yeah.
that was one thing. So, one part of our show, we usually talk about stolen bikes, and
Mhm.
I thought I had that set up, but something happened where it didn't save, so I don't have that.
Mm.
But one thing that I did want to bring up is I always do viewer videos, stolen bikes. I try to make this more about the people than about us on this show.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in this situation?
All right.
Hold on.
Is it over here?
It's gonna come in there. I gotta move it. So this is my buddy Fred.
Oh,
He just
man.
posted this he just posted this video about his buddy Caleb. Both of them good friends of ours. I'm just gonna just play this, and I want to see what
Like, my
you-
shoulders already hurt just like at this part. I just
No, you're thinking the wrong thing about this, sir.
R.I.P., buddy.
Oh shit.
Think about how long that fire happened. Like, let's go back a little bit. Let's see if I can.
So the guy just dumped the bike and then just left it?
Yeah, he crashed. Bike front end washed.
Okay.
Because I know both these guys.
Huh?
Picked it up. Bike's on fire. He can't hold it. Drops it. That happened within this time frame.
The bike start the fire?
Yes, the bike.
What?
Yes, that's what's
The
crazy.
bike started that fire.
Yes,
Oh.
and then look how far it is.
No, there's no way.
Yes, dude, this is not made up. I'm telling you, I know both these guys. I've ridden with them. I've hung out with them, kind of thing.
I can't.
Right?
Oh, I don't know. Because how did it catch fire?
The exhaust caught leaves on fire or something. Because I was like, did a gas line pop off?
Yeah.
Did this happen? Did that happen? They're like, nope, just this.
Times is hard all over, man. Times is hard all over. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, no, it is crazy. So that's why I was
Wow.
like, I got to play this on the show.
Yeah.
So we are wrapping up towards the end of the show. So I'm going to start playing some of those other things. There was, dude, I swore I must have saved some shit wrong because I had like a stolen bike thing for the show. The guy gave me permission, everything, and I don't know where I saved it, but
So you had an opportunity to help somebody out, and you're just not taking it.
no, because that's the thing. Like, I want this show to be like people send in stories about a crash or about send me a video or whatever. I'm gonna give entries. Last year I gave away a bike. I don't know what I'm doing this year, but I'm gonna do something, and it's gonna be cool. So, yeah, because stolen bikes suck, and oh, you know what? I just remember. So we should just keep talking for a second.
Okay.
While I remember this.
When you see a dude rocking just the chest protector and no sleeves, you know he's like a for real badass.
You talking about that guy right there?
Yeah, like.
I feel like that was you whenever you rode.
No, I had like the full. I think Thor made it, but it was like a not mesh, but it was like a performance fabric of some sort, long sleeve shirt, and it had the armor on it.
I got it. Sorry.
Oh
Sorry to
no,
cut you
somebody
off.
stole that.
Yeah. So this dude was at the Birmingham Supercross. Came home, or like he posted for sale. So one of the interesting things about this is, I think he showed it to somebody from what the messages he was telling me.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to Birmingham Supercross, and then came home, and like 3 or 4 days later, went out to his garage, and it was gone. So the main reason why I wanted to talk about and bring up this particular situation is, don't fucking meet people at your house.
No.
Anytime somebody's wanting to buy a bike from me, I send them the Kroger address. That's a mile from me. And I'm like, hey, this is a mile from me. I will meet you here for this at the gas station or the dog park or something else.
Yeah.
Not my house.
Yeah.
Don't let people see where you keep your bike, because they can very easily be like, yeah, let me talk with the old lady.
Yeah.
Then they know where your shit is.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring this up to tell people,
Dude,
don't.
I usually will not even take pictures of things at my house. I'll usually take it down to a parking lot to take pictures of it.
What's funny with that is, I always, when I'm taking pictures, I have to be mindful to not let my garage be in the background with multiple bikes.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't want somebody to look in and be like, oh, that dude's got some bikes. Let me see if I can get to his house and know how to break into shit.
Yeah.
But even though I was that careful, my shit still got stolen last year.
Jeez, man.
Luckily, I had insurance.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
My buddy Ryan said this.
I'm not done with my pitch yet. We're going to go back to Ryan.
Okay.
We're going to go back to that in a second.
Go for
So,
it.
if anybody sees this bike on Marketplace, please let. Wait, shit. Where's this information?
So keep going down.
I'm trying. It's not scrolling.
Oh yeah.
Here we go.
Computers are tough, man.
Marketplace. Should I rate him right now as
No,
positive?
just click on There you go.
That's what I did. And it brought me to this. By the way, you know what? Fuck it. Let me know. And I will let him know.
Yeah.
So if you see this bike on Marketplace, please let him
Like
know.
they may pull the numbers, but like they'll probably not pull.
certain things about it.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right,
for
so go
sure.
on with Ryan.
So Ryan, you know, we always had bikes, always had cars and things. And he goes, you know, I'm usually pretty careful about not really putting cars and bikes and stuff on social media because like people just don't need to know that I have things.
Yeah.
Like, who do I need to impress at this point in my life? Which the more I think about it, I was like, yeah, cool. That makes good sense.
Yeah,
So,
but for somebody saying that, he's got to have like a hog, right?
I mean,
You haven't seen it?
no.
Oh, I just
no. I mean, he was
yeah,
best
if
man at
you-
my
if
wedding.
you feel like
he's
you
my
don't-
brother, and I love him.
Okay.
But no, we never bumped tips or anything.
Oh,
No.
you know, sword fought or anything. Oh, that's
Nope.
weird. But
No.
no, I feel like most people feel that way.
It's crazy to me that we were talking about cars and bikes, and you went straight to dicks. Or maybe it's not that crazy.
Yeah. Honestly, at this point, I was just setting you up for a joke or whatever.
That's
So
fine. I don't need your help, but thank you.
all right. So Ryan,
No, Ryan, he just made the point. Like, you know, we were talking about like not meeting people at your house,
yeah,
being careful about what gets out there. Yeah, for sure. People can, unless I know you, you can pick it up at the Publix parking lot or the police station.
yeah. What's so funny, and I feel like I messaged and said him this kind of thing too. Is like, as soon as you send somebody a message like, "Hey, look, I'll meet you, but just so you know, I've got a pin that's gonna tell me your money's counterfeit. It's not unloaded until I check it. I've got a gun, and I want to meet you at a police station." They don't message you anymore
Yeah,
because most of the time that's what they're gonna do. So
yeah,
yeah, there's ways to be smart about this
yeah.
shit.
Definitely
but-
listen to your spidey sense. If you get a tickle, if anything feels
Mhm.
weird, it's worth it just to go sell it to somebody else.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, Ed, it's been fun. We're at like 3 hours right now.
Wow.
Yeah, we've been bullshitting for that long. But
Yeah, we've been bullshitting for like almost 20 years. Well, 15 years. Yeah, you're old as hell.
you're 46. I'm not even 40 yet.
Yeah. You know that's 46? Valentino Rossi, his number is 46. He's the greatest to ever ride a bike.
I knew you were about to say that. So that means you're going to come out of retirement now, start riding some dirt bikes, start riding some street bikes. What's stopping you, sir?
Just time. It's time.
YOLO.
Look, I've been YOLOing for a long time.
Sometimes you gotta YOLO back a little bit. Is that what
Yeah.
you're saying?
Like, let me know when you guys are going out somewhere, and I'll.
If it's past 9 p.m., you're out.
Well, no, like if it's a day when I can get out, and I don't have to like haul bikes or prep bikes or do anything, I'm with it. Like, does Highland Park still rent KTM's for the day?
They rent Starks.
Well, that's something. But the point is, like, before I bought a dirt bike, that was the best deal.
Yeah, was
Because I
doing a
showed
bike,
up with my helmet and my gear,
rented a bike, and
paid
rode a
my
little bit.
$100 or whatever it was.
You saw what's in my garage, right? I would fucking give you a bike.
I know you will. I know you will. So I'm saying
Alright.
is like when you guys are going somewhere, pack an extra bike, not the one that's been at the bottom of a lake, Allatoona or whatever.
That was the tech tip bike that I just showed how to replace the bearings on.
Tech tip: don't do this. But yeah, man, like I'll come out.
All right, so there was 2 funny things that I did because it's close to
Ever?
April Fools. No, for this week.
On purpose.
Yes.
Wow.
So, so Corey, we were talking about with my best man.
Yep. Old tight shirt Corey.
Baby Gap.
Shirt
what we
so
called him.
tight you could see his heartbeat. Yes, Corey.
So he's messaged me. I told you he just bought a bike. Sent
Yeah.
me a picture. Actually, my cousin Steven, while we're in the middle of the show, sent me another picture. He just bought a bike.
Ah,
So
These guys are doing
pumped
it
on
right.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're doing it right. So Corey messaged me on April Fools about bikes and this and that. And I sent him like, hey, don't buy a bike because maybe I should sell you my 450 because things aren't doing so good with Megan and I. I think I need to sell you one
Oh,
to help with the divorce fees because I think it's
that's
happening.
wrong.
And he just messaged back like, "Are you for real? Dude, I'm so sorry." And I hit him back with, "Yeah, please keep that on the DL. We haven't told my parents yet." And I'm just waiting and waiting. Like 5 minutes go by and I'm like, nothing. 10 minutes go by and I just realized what today is. Are you fucking with me, motherfucker? And I
Yeah.
just sent him back a heart emoji and a kiss emoji and I was
Yeah.
like, ha ha ha.
That's filthy.
But
That's filthy.
he should have known me better, right?
He should have, but
Yeah.
like, what's beat up is that you had somebody who cared so much about you. They were operating in good faith, and you were like, "Hey, let me take advantage of that because I'm a dick."
But what the funny thing is he's like, dude, my heart sunk. And I was like, dude, if you would have switched roles and text me that, I would have been like, bro, get some strippers, go get some hookers and cocaine, go live your life, dude. You do you. Because his wife has actually been married before Megan and I. So I'd be like encouraging my bro, right? And then like
I
the
don't know,
next day
this-
gone, oh, he's messing with me. Yeah. So anyways, with Alonzo's bike, I sent him these pictures of me and videos of me straightening his radiators. I sent him a video of the bike running and all this stuff. He's super pumped. And I said, hey, man, just so you know, today's April Fool's, and I made all these videos with AI. Your bike's not running. And he was just like, I'm just telling people this. Don't let me work on your shit around April because I'm going to fuck with you.
Or let me just have one question: like, what's wrong with you?
Well, I let him stew on it for like 2 minutes, and I was like, there's absolutely no way, in any way, shape, or form, I could get AI to make these videos of your bike running, your radiator straight, your front end being taken apart and put back together. I did all this within an hour. Like, literally finished his bike motor, rebuilt the front of his bike, straightened the radiators.
Yeah, but I'm like, it's a dirt bike motor, so it's got like 3 moving parts anyway. So calm down.
Don't give me that. It's way more. Don't try to undersell it. All right.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
so
you hit it.
sensitive.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
But no, for real, he was just
Because
he
it's
was on a
filthy.
high.
It's a filthy
his
thing to
bike's
do.
running on a low, and then back onto a high. And he was like, "Dude, nobody's ever got me that good on April Fools. Like, I just sold this guy on that."
That's terrible. You should be ashamed of yourself.
And which leads me to the next point of the fact that I made a fake post for this week's show that you fell for.
I did because I had no idea. It was like I didn't know the Supercross movie. I know I've seen it, but I didn't like connect dots.
Yeah, you
And so-
didn't touch tips.
Didn't
on-
touch tips.
you-
No. We had talked about this earlier in the week, and I was like, okay, let me put some notes together. Let me figure out something to say. And then I saw that, and I was like, oh, he found somebody else. I mean, he could have told me. That's beat up, but whatever. Okay, cool. And then I read it again, and I was like, what's a NAMI? What is that? And I was like, maybe this guy's just like really cool. And then I looked and I found, I was like, oh, April
so
Fools, yada, yada, yada.
You Google searched his name.
Yeah.
In which, on one point, I was kind of like, oh, I should have told him I'm doing this. On the other hand, I'm like, he fell for an April Fool's joke. So
I deserve it. Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah,
Th-
I definitely deserve
For one of the smartest people I know, you fell for an April
Yeah.
Fool's joke of mine.
it. Look, for a smart dude, I'm dumb as hell. which dad tells me like once a month.
No, but kidding aside, dude, you're one of just the funnest people to hang around at the pits. Like you were saying, you're just gonna talk shit and you're gonna make fun of things and you're gonna poke fun and you're just gonna stir the pot. And it's always been a lot of fun anytime we've been around each
say
other.
funny things, do funny things, but always be available to help. Right? That's all I ever wanted to do. Right? Like, James and I pitted together for years and years and said some of the funniest things to each other ever. But we always said it while we were working on each other's bikes, right? And making things right. And it's absolutely like the best experiences are like that. When you have your best friends out there and you can just giggle and say the dumbest, most offensive stuff to each other while getting ready to go have the
Yeah,
most
but-
fun you can do.
Yeah, and the reality too is like you can be doing all this shit, but I feel like I'm gonna trust that those people when it
Absolutely.
like comes time to like, hey, we actually have to do shit.
Yeah.
And then back to that. Like within the second the thing you have to do is done,
Yeah.
it's right back to that. And it just makes the mood lighter.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I do have one other sponsor that I need to plug.
Okay.
So I do want to say thank you to MX201 Track Designs, to HKR Racing, and Innovative Mechanical LLC for helping make the show possible. Thank you, buddy, for coming in and doing this.
Mhm.
I'm going to play this. I'm going to play one of B's stories. And we'll play
Okay.
the outro, and we'll wrap this up, unless you got any other fun things to talk about.
If I have another story, then I will call in. And it will be a call in story.
You know what? I'm actually going to I'm going to reach out to James and Spencer. Maybe get all three of you
Yeah.
guys in. We'll just sit in and just bullshit the whole time, because I feel like that'd be a fun time after hearing that.
Spencer and James are like together because they're so different. It's the funniest thing ever.
I think
so,
we're going to
like,
have to make this happen.
the three of us used to pit together. We pit together one time at Heron's.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
that's one of the funniest days of my life. Like it was the worst riding, but the most fun hits ever. So yeah, you can do that.
All right, so
Sure.
jot notes from that day down, and let's get those guys together.
Yeah.
All right, so let's wrap this thing up. For anybody watching or listening at this point, sorry you had to sit through all
Yeah, no
this,
doubt.
but all right.
This show is brought to you by MX201 Track Designs, founded by Matt Shue, a former pro supercross and motocross racer who made a name for himself in the 90s and early 2000s.
Series 2, the local favorite from LJ, Georgia, is in third. He goes down in the corner. He's no longer in third place.
MX201 Track Designs brings decades of hands-on expertise to the motocross world.
Matt's racing career took him across the globe, competing at the highest level and learning firsthand what makes a track not only fun, but challenging and safe.
Since stepping away from racing, Matt has used his extensive knowledge to help design, build, and manage a variety of tracks in the Southeast. Locations like AmpMX, Highland Park Resort, Synergy Cycle Park. Trust MX201 as he's earned a reputation for creating top-notch riding experiences. Whether you're dreaming of a custom public track, private motocross facility, or even a backyard woods loop for the kiddos, MX201 Track Designs offers solutions that are as unique as your vision, and he'll offer custom solutions that are tailored to your budget. Visit mx201trackdesign.com or call 678-628-4892 to get started on designing your perfect track today. And when you do, be sure to mention Campfire Moto Stories to Matt.
B, tell me a story about what kind of riding we did this past week.
We were on Bald Head Island, and I rode on the beach.
What'd you ride on the beach?
Master Basic, of course, but I did not go on the water.
What did surprise you the most about the riding on the beach?
That I got to ride on the beach and all that stuff.
What about, remember when I lifted it up the cliff and then I didn't think you'd be able to ride in the soft sand? Then what'd you do?
What cliff?
Remember the little beach cliff? I picked it up. You started walking.
Yeah.
And then you did what?
And then I, like, there was a bunch of shells in that part, and, like, and then my dad said, like, the guy who's talking right here, and he said, and the guy right here,
I don't think you can ride it.
my dad said, I don't think you can ride it, B. And then I came along and said, I can ride it.
Then you had to push it when you got to the real soft stuff, huh?
Yeah.
And then you did what down the stairs?
I I actually just was brave, and I just down the steps.
Great story, B.
Bye.